Yes, here. I bought this for you. I bought a whole new package I bought for you.
Kevin over here. Okay. Ooh.
And I got honked at by a fire
Okay.
truck trying to get behind me.
Let's see. Do we have any of our members on Zoom? Okay, that's
I know
actually,
Steven's coming,
that's a good thing.
and Jesse's not.
Jesse's not. And then anybody know anything about Abby?
I
Well-
haven't heard from her.
Let's worry about that, but right at the moment, we do have a quorum. So we can, oh, I should have sent this, Carrie. No, okay, all right. Okay, so everybody, welcome to the meeting of the Nantucket Historic District Commission. Today is Tuesday, July 12th. It's 1 minute after 5. And present at today's meeting are Val Oliver, Diane Coombs, Ray Pohl, and Carrie Thornwell at the moment. For those of you in the room, cell phones off, and if you want to record any portion of the meeting on your own stuff, just let us know. Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve today's
moved.
agenda? Thank you. Diane's made a motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go. Any
Mini
opposed?
Holly.
Okay. No one's opposed. Okay. Consents. Diane, I believe you're going to have to chair this because I'm off.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
But no, nobody else is, right?
Mr. Chair,
Wait,
Oh,
so
I'm so
we-
sorry. Sorry, one thing. Is there any public comment?
What about
skipped-
commissioner comments?
Okay, I'll go back to that. No public comment. Commissioner comments. You have one,
I do.
fellow commissioner?
I know I sound like a broken record, but we really need to convene some sort of meeting where we can come up with a streamlined process or suggestions of how we can streamline our process. And I know we typically do it every fifth, the months that have fifth weeks, but those have come and gone. And I feel like we wanted to talk about, wait a minute, hold on. The meeting schedule and perhaps eliminating Thursdays. So I think it's really important to have some sort of official organizational meeting.
All right, so theoretically, there's not supposed to be any deliberation. Is that something we can put on as other business?
May I interject, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
It is on the agenda to discuss Thursday's meetings.
At the end.
At the
As
end.
other
But-
business, but we never get to the end.
No, we never get to the end, and that's my point.
We did.
I'd like to make a motion to reopen.
Reopen the approval of the, oh, I know what you're gonna do. Okay,
Okay.
so that's, I know just where
Oh,
you're
so
going.
I didn't
Okay.
do that, sorry.
No, so watch this.
Okay,
Okay, Stephen's made a motion to reopen the agenda, motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor of Stephen's motion? Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? And now you're gonna say what?
I'd like to make a motion to move the item of discussing Thursday's schedule up to the next item of business.
There you go.
I can't hear Stephen at all.
Okay.
Terry, you don't have to yell at me. You can just say, please turn your microphone.
Please turn on your microphone. And
Happy
could
to.
I ask a
It's on
really
now.
quick question? Because I'm looking at is Abby there?
Not
She's
yet.
on her
Okay,
way, she just
she's on the way.
texted me.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, since that was voted on and approved,
The motion to reopen was approved, and then you moved to
move that up.
discuss the Thursday meeting out of other business up to the front of the agenda.
Which I had just brought up.
And that's, but it is Stephen's motion. All those in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Can we just wait until Abby gets here so she can be part of it? She's on
Sure,
her
we can.
way.
We can start the discussion.
Yeah.
May I comment?
Yeah,
First of all, would you like a glass of water?
I would love one.
Do you need the Heimlich?
Do we have any liquids back there?
I didn't bring any.
I left mine in the truck.
Anyway, oh, no. I'm not gonna drink somebody else, I mean,
No, I think it's sealed.
It hasn't been opened yet. I brought a case of those the
No.
last time.
oh,
Okay. How about a quick bio break for you to use it?
all right.
Oh, not sealed.
No.
So-
no, Okay. You don't want-
Stephen,
Yes, sir.
go.
I'd like us to consider that, I know it's been brought up in the past, and I understand and don't disagree that historically, HCC meetings started after 4 o'clock so that working people could attend. I, again, don't disagree with that in concept, but I think the model of who provides testimony and seeks to get approvals in front of the HCC is primarily agents of applicants. So that is to say, otherwise, people who get paid to be here, it's part of their working day, whether they're here in the evening or whether they're here in the daytime. That's number one. Number two, it is beyond too much of a burden, I would suggest, to be coming in on a regular basis, as we have been doing for the last couple of years now, for 2 days a week, staying until 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, and then having the workday interrupted. I think that there are, one of the reasons I ran for election was there are best practices that can be put into place that will make us more efficient while not decreasing our effectiveness and allow us to address the forest instead of just the trees. And I would like to see that we start doing that. I think if we're forced to be more efficient by having a shorter schedule, that would be helpful. I believe that if we were to meet at 3:30 until 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, well, it will be an inconvenience to some on a Tuesday. Diane, I'm entitled to my opinion. I'm sorry. You can make glares and shake your head as much as
I'm
you
not
want.
glaring, I'm looking at
Let's-
you, I'm
let's
sorry.
hear Stephen will finish.
That
and then I'll-
3:30 to 8:30 provides a more than enough time to whittle through our agenda if we're effective and efficient. And also, it gives us an opportunity to get out of here at a relatively decent hour, so that if you don't eat dinner here at the table, which, I understand we're probably not supposed to do,
I just did.
well, we got to do what we got to do. I think that 3:30 to 8:30 gives us, it's still a very long meeting. It is the longest meeting that is regularly held on this island, the HDC, on a Tuesday night as compared to any other board, commission, or committee. I think that 3:30 gives people an opportunity to be here early on their game. 8:30 gives did I say 8? Get out at 8?
You said 8:30.
8:30.
I would like to say 8, but I don't think it'll fly. The idea of being able to go home at a relatively decent hour and wind down a little bit, I think is good for morale, good for business, and overall, just good policy. I'm going to finish in just a minute here. We've been meeting kind of on it's almost like our get caught up schedule, which is Tuesdays, a full agenda, a full day, and Thursdays for at least an hour and a half, sometimes 2.5 hours. I just think it's too much for us, and I think that there are ways that we can accomplish the workload. Now I'm repeating myself for Abby. There are ways we can accomplish the same workload and do actually even more, and get into things like talking about area plans and development in areas that we haven't discussed and have caught us off guard. For instance, Brand Point and this idea of setback to setback building. Other type of issues like demo move-off policy, which has been on our agenda for over a year. So when I say the forest, that's what I'm talking about. And when I say the trees, those are the types of things that we can regiment policy and procedures and guidelines to help guide us so that we can be more effective, very similar to what we did with roof colors, mini split systems, and fences. So I would like to start by shortening our meetings and then jumping into those type of things. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. And so what you just suggested, basically, if it is in fact 3:30 to 8:30 on a Tuesday, that is taking 1/2 hour off of our weekly schedule.
I was gonna say
Net.
8, get out at 8, but that would be my
Well,
goal.
listen, it's very much in play at the moment, but so the net would be 3:30 to 8:30 would be one day, no Thursday, and we would essentially not have, we would give up, forfeit a half an hour of review time. Okay, who else wants to speak?
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
First of all, which concerns me, I'm the one thing about it. I am an elected member of this commission. I deal with a handicap, which is unfortunate for me and resulting things. I cannot be here at 3:30. I have to have my grandson pick me up, put me in the chair, and get here. And he has to meet me at the end of the day. He works at the DPW and he works until 4 o'clock, which means I'm out. I would not be happy to be forced out of this commission, having been on it for 20 some odd years, because the time is where I cannot be here. And that I have made that known as I cannot be here. I also think that we are a board that deals with a great deal of the public and the applicants who come in, and they too, in most cases, have businesses that they must run and get to the meetings. So, which is why we went to the hours that we had put in place, was to cover their ability to finish a day's work and come to the meeting. And that's sort of what the HCC does. We are, we work with a lot of people and their needs and their time to get something explained and whatever. I don't know. I've been on it a long time, and I think to cut their hours down, to say this is what the hour is going to be. Thursday was never a particularly programmed thing. It was always brought in as an emergency. Last Thursday, there were only 2 of us at the meeting, Abby and I, so we had to call it. But that put all of Thursday's agenda onto tonight's agenda. I think we found, I wouldn't say we never can do a Thursday. You could leave it as we have, which is an open thing. If it's necessary, we put it on Thursday. If it isn't necessary, don't. Or if you have stuck at work, this is why I emailed the governor and said the Zoom in this case lets more people take part of the HDC and its requirements, and the applicants as well as the people who are offenders who have to deal with it. So I cannot go for 3:30 to 8:30 because I want to be here. I spent 20 years here, and I don't want to have to resign because I can't get here.
Okay. But I do want to comment on that. So from 3:30 to 5, which is when we currently begin the meeting, is an hour and a half. That's an hour and a half of time during which that's the work day, right? We meet for an hour and a half on Thursday, right in the middle
Of the work day.
right smack
Right.
in the middle of the workday. So it's the same hour and a half. It's just moved from Thursday to Tuesday. I mean, it can be viewed that way. So that's my comment on that. Who else wants to speak? I actually want to hear from everybody.
I
on this.
do.
Yeah, okay.
I actually thought
Excuse
that,
me. By the way, let the record reflect, Terry, that Abby joined us, 10 minutes ago. Thank you. Go ahead, Val.
not to preclude Diane, to me, as a person who works full-time and then some, it's, I think, better scenario to not have to be here Thursday. That, as Diane said, that was always an emergency type of meeting, and it's become mandatory, and I don't think it's fair to us as a board to expect this much time, and especially during a work day. So I would personally be in favor of shifting the hours, and maybe knowing that you get here when you get here. You know what I mean? It's not like it's leaving you out. You just come.
Well,
little
but
bit
I would
late.
be an hour and a half late
Why?
because he doesn't get even off work until 4 o'clock. But then he has to get me. He has to come over and get me into. I have to wait for the van and then get here. Doesn't matter. You all
It-
vote.
Okay,
Well, no, I mean, everybody's opinion counts.
okay.
Yeah.
And so you've said what you need to say, Val, for now?
For now.
Okay. Carrie, you
Um,
ready?
I agree with Val, but I understand where Diane's coming from. But I do think during the 5-hour meeting on a Tuesday night, Diane, sometimes people sit back for the alternates to take a stab. And maybe that's just, you're missing the first hour. Maybe we start at 4 and go to 9. If you miss the first hour, that's just your step back period for alternates to do some. And then when you're here, you just see them all the way through and not step down, because it seems like everybody sort of takes turns so that we're not useless. And maybe that's the compromise that you can sort of adhere to, that the first hour.
You're not useless.
Well, when you guys, yeah.
I
yeah.
know.
We're getting better
So
about
I'm just
that.
trying to make a pitch to Diane to maybe ease it, if that sounds reasonable to you as a solution to being able to go at 4 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you, Carrie. Abby?
So, who is speaking into the microphone? Are we-
Should be, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I like the idea of no Thursdays and starting earlier and ending earlier. Fewer hours as possible. But I'm concerned about Diane, and I was listening to Carrie talk, and one thing came to mind was, what if you, I think what you might have been saying, but I'm not sure, but if Diane, if you could just get here when you could, and we just carry on, because like Carrie said, we're always, we step back and let alternates come in, and so we're not consistently always here. So it would be, you could get here by 5, obviously, so it would be an hour and a half that, but the first thing I wanted to say was, I wonder, couldn't the town get involved, because you are an elected official? Couldn't they somehow get, just hire a taxi every?
It's not a taxi.
It's
It's,
getting her.
I
into
have
her
to
chair
get-
and out of the house.
I can't
Okay.
walk. I can't stand up,
Okay.
unfortunately. So it isn't a case that I could walk over to the cart. The case is my grandson, who is strong enough, picks me up.
Yeah, no, I
And
get, so,
I
okay,
puts me
so
on the thing,
the
but
thing
he
is
has
to
to
get
get out
you,
of work.
if the thing is to get you to the taxi, into the taxi?
No, the thing is getting me off the bed and into the chair. And then he brings me down the ramp.
Mm.
And then,
Not something you want to have a stranger do.
No,
when
but
I
it
come
could be-
home, he has to think that the ramp is a little more slanty than it's supposed to be.
Right.
So
Well,
to push me up the ramp, he gets out of work between 3:30 and 4. If we had the meeting start at 4:30, then I would have a better shot of being here. I don't want to miss out of a 5-hour meeting, a meeting and a half. I didn't run for the HDC to walk out that day every Tuesday. It isn't on an occasion, it would be every Tuesday. And I would do it at 4:30. I could do half an hour, which would give him time to get out of work to my house, get into the van, and then get here. But as I say, I'm only one person on a board of 5, so I just, maybe it's time for me to get off the board altogether.
Okay.
No,
Now-
no.
Yeah,
I haven't spoken yet.
yeah, after you're done.
And so, so I appreciate all the issues that we, sort of different issues that we're all facing. My own view on this is, in the interest of compromise, we could start at 4 and go until 8:30. And that would yield us 4.5 hours, which is a half an hour more on a Tuesday. So we're now down 1 hour if you take into account an hour and a half on Thursday, which is, I think, no one would disagree that that's a good thing. So those are my thoughts. Stephen, go.
Sure. I think, there's a couple things to keep in mind. And one, I want to be really clear, although, one of the members and I have a kind of a mother-son relationship where I'm either given the silent treatment or yelled at. This is not in any way directed at Diane, and I don't want it to be misconstrued as such. It's far from that. The idea of a Thursday regular event where someone has to come in late relative to the other members is not, in my mind, basis for someone to step down from the commission, nor should it be intended or perceived to be intended to accomplish that goal, number one. Number two, I think basically the rationale of having to step down because you're going to be a little bit late on a regular basis, it doesn't really ring true to me. The other idea about just, we meet on a Thursday during the day as it is, so I presume Diane has someone else who can help her get here on Thursdays.
No, I don't. That's why I'm going to, if they don't go on to Zoom, I
Well-
won't be here.
Well, I have good news for you.
I thought they extended
They
Zoom.
extended it to December.
What?
Oh, no kidding.
So
Done.
this is what I've heard from a good source. So
Okay.
I think the idea that, I think that Diane has made good points. She's concerned. The concept and the discussion about people not being able to come here during the working day, there's plenty of hours for people to show up. Someone can always call into the office. It's with rare exception, we don't know who is on the agenda just simply by looking at it and knowing whether they are an agent of an applicant or they are actually the applicant themselves. In fact, it's typically written in black and white. So it's very easy for us to say, oh, it looks like so-and-so, maybe not here, we can hold for representation, and later in the evening they can come in. So I'm not trying to come up, we're trying to solve problems, not create them. I think the last part of it is I think that a 3:30 start is worth it, because this idea of coming in on Thursdays, which I didn't run to come in every Thursday, which is what is being required, in part because we're not efficient during our meetings and in part because of the workload. But I think, to be fair to everyone else, many of us on the board, on the commission, work during the day. And it is an undue burden to have to break away twice, once on a Tuesday and again on a Thursday, and then regain your normal life twice, once on a Tuesday night and one in the afternoon on a Thursday. I think that it would be fair for us to give it a try from 3:30 to 8:30 if we need to. Zoom is here. Diane can attend, and if she wants to come to the meeting, which I think you should know, you're more than welcome to be here. No one is suggesting you not be here, Diane. Oh ho. The idea is that you could come, you could Zoom in, and then you could come at the 4:30 time. Or if 5 o'clock is more convenient for you, that's good too.
But she could zoom in
Well,
on Tuesday.
but I understand,
That's what
but
he just
and be
said, yeah.
completely
well,
involved.
she could, but I'm
I
just suggesting she
could. I
could
am
also come
trying.
here.
To come personally,
Of course.
and the hours that have been set up were the hours that I
That worked for you.
took in when I ran for the position, and when I worked, not
didn't
that I agree with the Thursday every time, but when I was a postal employee letter carrier and they needed me on a Thursday, I came. It's not that it's just new. It was existing back when Linda was chairman. So it's been a long time, but
I'd like to finish if I
I,
may.
I thought you had finished. I'm sorry to
didn't.
interrupt.
The net effect of this, Diane, since you're the one who's concerned about it, is that the Thursday meeting would actually be the hour and a half or hour that you would not be here on Tuesday, which you would not be able to attend on a Thursday, but for Zoom having been extended.
Right.
So there would be net no difference except for the benefit of Zoom allowing you to participate on Thursday. Thank you to Governor Weld or Governor Baker. Sorry.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just trying not to communicate.
no.
I'm just trying to measure apples.
Mr. Chair,
I'm just trying to measure apples to apples.
Mr. Reed has his hand up.
Had you finished, Stephen?
Yes.
Arthur, I see your hand up.
Yes, I just happened to be in the audience on this when this subject is being discussed. And as a member of the public who frequently has to attend HDC meetings, probably more frequently than I would like,
Us too.
I have some comments on the situation. I thought that Stephen at the beginning hit the nail on the head. First of all, I think that the Thursday meeting schedule and the irregular meeting schedule, depending upon who can get here at any particular meeting, doesn't work out very well. And Stephen was further suggesting that there could be perhaps some improvements by streamlining the process of going before the HDC. I'm not going to get into that now, but I would love to spend some time sitting down with a few of you. This is a subject I've been thinking about for many years, and I have a lot of suggestions as to how you could proceed, how you could deal with your meetings without having the intolerable burden. Frankly, I don't understand how any of you put up with the amount of time that you have to spend on a volunteer basis dealing with all of this. And I just think that, first of all, the idea of simplifying the schedule by having it just be a longer meeting one day a week. As you said, most of the people who are coming before you are during their work day. It's and are doing it in connection with their work. It's no inconvenience for any of us. And I think that it would serve all of you and the public to take a very, very serious look at how you conduct your meetings, how you conduct your business, and how all this might be simplified. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Arthur. And I'd love to hear your suggestions. Anybody else? Oh,
I'm just curious how this helps staff. I mean, they only have to plan for one meeting and it leaves a lot of stress in there.
That's a very interesting question, Joe.
I mean, that's kind of thinking of them as well.
Mhm.
So one meeting.
You guys have anything to contribute to the discussion from your perspective?
I guess I can, since I'm the one that
Please.
keeps track of all these live agendas.
Yeah.
This would actually alleviate a lot of myself and my coworkers' workload, because we're constantly trying to keep up with meetings. So just having to deal with one meeting, that would be awesome.
Okay.
So yes, it would help us tremendously.
Okay. So is there any more comment either from board members, staff, or members of the public?
I would just say,
Wait, hang on. Did I actually have you talk?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to be here as few hours as possible.
Oh, okay.
But I
Go.
wanted to say would it be okay with Diane if we tried the 3:30, since you can zoom in to December? You can zoom, you can
but I
be on-
wanted to be part of
I-
being
I-
here. How many people have said, I wish you were there, go there. Well, it's hard to run the thing. I tried.
I
This
know.
is what I've run on. I have not run on walking away. I asked for a medium in between, have it 4:00 rather than 3:30. 3:30, there's no chance. And once I'm there, by the time I have to zoom in and then get into the van and get here is ridiculous. I won't be able to. And I think I should have a fair shot at doing what I'm supposed to do. And the hours that were put up as to the hours we served. I would be willing to try 4 o'clock and see if it would work. And I would hope that you guys would try it at 4 o'clock before we did something else.
I would be willing to entertain that with some trade-offs. Well, I think none of this functions if we function status quo. None of this will work if we do not institute best practices. And I'm willing to bring forth through the Organizational Focus Committee public hearings to consider from both the public and from the membership, and then to make recommendations. But I would like to think that they will be welcomed, number one, and they will be considered on their merits and not based on personalities, and move forward. And that's the quid pro quo that I'm looking for, if we go from 4 to 8:30.
All right.
I'm going to do it anyways.
No, I was just
Sorry.
going to say that I don't know why I have this feeling, but I think that the process that looking at applications is going to speed up, and that, 4 to 8:30 is going to be just fine.
Well.
I have something
No,
too.
no, okay, hang on. Stephen, I understand about your quid pro quos, but can we keep that out of any
Yeah,
kind
we
of a
can.
motion? That'll be like that'll be a pinky promise kind of thing.
Yeah,
All
that's totally appropriate, Mr.
All
Chair.
right.
I just wanted to be on the record with the concepts of, this is a bigger picture. This is one step in a bigger picture.
Totally gotcha. Okay. Val.
Just to be quick here, I'm going to go back to the presentation I did, I think it was about a year ago. And really and truly, the bottom line is being prepared as a commissioner, looking through the applications ahead of time and having applicants be prepared. If an application is not complete, we should just not review it. It is too much for us to have staff go through emails and pull stuff up. And yes, it happens once in a while, but look, you get shot down a few times, you'll make sure it happens. And I guarantee you that would speed things up.
Okay. I hear you, Val, and I heard you back when you gave your presentation, however long ago it was, and they were good points. Am I hearing 4 o'clock as a compromise with an 8:30 conclusion that would give us an extra half an hour on our Tuesday, and then, of course, 0 on Thursday, so we're down each week 1 hour?
That's what it sounds like.
I would be willing to try that.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
There you go.
That
Thanks.
we will revamp our schedule, so we're meeting 1 day a week on Tuesdays, our regular day, from 4 p.m. to 8:30 will be our regular meeting. 4 p.m. to 8:30 will be our regular meeting time. I intentionally repeated that.
Yeah. Underscore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you just say it again? Because when did we?
One more
was
time. And I would even venture to suggest that we do it on a 6-month, let's go with a 7-month trial. basis.
7-month trial, okay, to be reassessed, reevaluated after 7 months. Is that your motion, Stephen?
That is my motion.
Okay, all those in favor of Stephen's motion, and of course.
What
it
was
is-
the time?
Are you?
No,
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 what Tuesday's
no,
gonna
seriously.
4 to 8:30
Four,
Tuesday?
yes,
next Tuesday.
4
writing it
PM to 8:30
I know I'm
Tuesday.
gonna be late
That is
already.
Stephen's motion. Okay, so regular board on Stephen's motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, how about that, folks? It was unanimous. That's our process.
Thank you, Diane.
We have the best process of any regulatory board on
I'll
the
tell
Nantucket.
you.
Well, no, okay,
Holy
compromise on a bad
smoke.
idea is still a bad idea, but other than that,
So let's see, that was a little bit of board comment. So still no public comment, and we're now to.
I got one other thing
Mr.
that
yes.
I would like
Board
to
comment,
mention that
yes.
I've been getting calls about. There are 2 houses that I think are under some sort of declaration that they need to be worked on, or otherwise they're gonna fall down. One is on Fair Street, and
yes.
the other is on Orange Street.
I definitely know the one you're talking about in Fair.
The Orange Street is just on the other side of Johnny's old
careful.
house.
just careful because we're not really supposed to discuss any particular.
No, I'm just saying approximately where it is, that's all.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
And I would like to see something happen before it happens.
You mean that the corrective work is done?
Yes,
Okay, I think Holly can speak to that.
without obviously
Yes.
talking specifics,
Right.
the town HDC is aware of those particular properties and actually been involved with for quite a while. We can update the chair and work on that where they
Certainly,
stand.
that's something that
That's
you
great.
can
It's
feel
as vague
free
as
to
I can
check
get.
up with staff.
Mr. Chair, I also, if it's okay, from a staff comment, if that's okay, from public comment?
Yeah, yeah. of course.
Okay, so, and I will take, I know poor public has been waiting, but I just wanted to take like 2 minutes and reflect on this past weekend with the loss, significant loss of not just one individually significant resource within our historic district, but also 2 other historic structures. Obviously, we all know the Veranda House. This structure is, I've seen dates floating all around on social media, but I will quote the man, Clay Lancaster, architectural historian who I refer to on a daily basis, just about from Holiday Island. He said that the Veranda House, the nucleus of the building, has been said to have been parts of the William Greer House from 1684, formerly facing Center Street, and then taken down to make way for the Peter Folger House, built in 1765. That's that 3-story structure that's farther back, which is
loved it,
very
yeah.
close, and I was praying that this structure wasn't going to have any impact. Very significant, and also is a direct descendant of Benjamin Franklin. So obviously very important with our national history. Back in 1881, Nathan Chapman, he purchased the structure and turned it into the boarding house. It obviously faced on Step Lane, and it was described as being located near the shore of the harbor on elevated ground, a short distance from the steamboat landing. This house has been newly fitted with 18 large rooms and 3 spacious verandas on each 3 sides of the house where patrons may enjoy the benefit of the sea breezes. And Mr. Chapman himself, in 1883, he actually patented a bread cutter, pretty cool. And there's a copy of that within Clay Lancaster's book. But I also wanted to mention the other 2 structures, which I understand have some significant damage.
Come on.
Both of which are contributing structures. One of them, 4-Step Lane, the Alexander Ray House, which is a whaling captain from circa 1810, had an MPT marker on it, and then 5-Step Lane right behind it, which was Captain Peter E. Eliza Brock House from 1851 to 1899. So again, these 3 structures, and obviously, I'll state the obvious. We're all happy that nobody got hurt, and thanks to our fire department and first responders.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
What about the Sullivan's house right across the street? Is that an old house? They're the one that got burned completely from the fire blowing across the street.
Number 4.
That's 4. Four.
Center Street, it's on Center Street.
I wasn't aware of that.
There's no damage on Center Street.
I had heard that though, too.
Yeah, there's a
Nope.
picture of it.
For
One of the last
Steps
pictures
Lane.
to go on, the guy came out and said that he thought it wasn't that burned, but when he opened the door, the inside was sort of gone, and the back wing had another thing, and that was worse burned.
I think that someone might have mislabeled
Because there's a
it.
whole house in between veranda and center. There's
Yeah.
another house.
Diane, I inspected the burned buildings on Saturday evening and Sunday, and there wasn't anything on Center Street. So I think someone may have, 4 Steps was, as you described, the roof was burned through. The front of it had burned, but inside,
He said that
Otherwise,
the
and then-
owner said the inside was gone, that's
Huh.
all I can tell you.
maybe we'll get a call at the office about it. I don't know.
I'll see if I can find it,
Yeah, that's interesting.
what it was, because it was distressing that it was from the heat and the fire going across. That's what they said. I only could go, I haven't been there. I only could go by what they said.
Can I add one thing?
Okay. Yeah.
Quickly. I mean, regardless of your beliefs, the hand of God was involved in this weekend. No deaths, no injuries. And Benjamin Franklin's grandson's house, that was less than 5 feet from the veranda, where the roof was literally burned off within 5 feet. The paint on the trim wasn't even bubbled, wasn't even touched. It was amazing.
Lucky wind that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And one
It
other
was
thing,
from
Mr.
east
Chair.
to west.
Holly, thank you for that.
One other history
Oh,
note
sorry.
is that tomorrow, coincidentally enough, is the anniversary of the
Oh,
Great
yeah.
Fire of 1846.
Yeah.
Strange coincidence, but, you know, obviously be due to quick bravery and all, we didn't see anything like that, so.
Okay, thanks, Holly. All right, I think we can move to consents. I'm going to recuse. Abby, can you chair?
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve consent.
All in favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
You say any opposed?
Any opposed?
There you go. Okay. Consent with conditions. Val, you need to recuse.
Yes.
Carrie, you're on. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 1 and 2 with consent with conditions.
Very good. Thank you, Diane. All in favor of Diane's motion, say aye.
Discussion on the motion.
Oh, sorry. Discussion on the motion.
I'd just like to add, and this, I know we discussed this, but we didn't really maybe finalize it, that the word original be added before the last word in the sentence application, so as to read, to have no grade change from existing or is noted on the original application.
On the original application. Is that something that you guys can vote in? Like, can that be appended to the motion?
Yeah.
All right. Diane, that was your motion. So
Yep.
could you just say,
And to have the perpetuity, have it inspected in perpetuity, the pool have no grade change from the existing or as noted in the original application.
correct. So that's Diane's motion. All in favor of Diane's motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that's good.
Can I ask one thing?
Yes.
What's the difference between a pool and an in-ground pool?
Well, I'm not sure. That's funny. I see what you're talking about.
A spa pool that was my application for Vic
Yeah.
Varantilla. It's
Um,
like one of those little,
No, look, this one, hot tub.
The difference is
Raised.
ground cover counts if it's out of the ground and it doesn't if it's in the ground.
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Seriously?
Doesn't that seem funny?
What?
That is crazy.
Wow.
That's
If it's
amazing.
an in-ground pool, it doesn't count
Just the way
as
it's
ground
defined.
cover, but if
Oh,
it's
damn,
above ground,
that's
it
so.
does. Huh.
Oh, it says in-ground pools
Are
are
excluded,
Yeah,
yeah.
isn't that
Yeah.
something? Okay. All right, so now we're on, what are we doing with workshop stuff? Are they
No, I
here?
had no problem with that. I looked
Mr.
at that.
Chairman, they requested to hold till the 28th of July.
Oh, I see that. Okay, so can somebody move those
Move
two?
of old new business 1 and 2 until the
so-
20.
Until the 28th of July.
July.
Okay, that's Diane's
Um,
motion.
Excuse me, because
Yes.
it's already on the agenda, which you approved, you don't need to make a motion.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, all right. So
The
The
strike
same
that.
with the other ones that were held. That's already on the agenda, so don't worry about it.
Okay, very good. Thanks so much, Terry. Okay, Abby, it's to you. I think Mr. Topham is in the audience waiting patiently.
Okay.
So you got these next three.
So just one more thing on your time change. Got to get it approved by Eric.
No, we closed that up.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you may want to get
You
checked
want
with
us to
Erica.
start at 2?
We'll have to horse trade with the town. They're gonna have a day and a half, they're gonna have a day
Go
off.
wrestle her down.
What were you about to say, Joe?
Well, Erica needs
Erica
to
Mooney is about to
schedule
take
it.
room. So before you make this public, we're getting all excited.
Right.
The problem with that is everybody votes against anything we want to change, so.
So come in the squad. Just take up the room.
Maybe there'll be a quid pro quo on the ugliest building.
You want to share?
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. You all got the handout last week, so I hope you reviewed it. So basically, just quick bullet points. In 1965, the East Lee addition was not present. The porch was different. The rear one-story addition was a one-story, now it's currently a two-story. I think you can see that in 1965 map showing that the building was in its basic form. 1975, the original Brell section was altered extensively. Dormer bay, rear wall was removed for a second floor addition. Porches were added and glassed in. Roof walk was added. In 1986, there was a building permit for additions and alterations and repair. And most of that rear wing was ripped apart. And I think at that point, a lot of the flooring for some reason was removed, changed directions at different times. So I don't know if there was what was going on there. But the other part of it is within the main stairway, there is now a Brosco handrail, newel post. There's a lot of new things within this house. All Brosco windows were used throughout the newer and added in some sections of the house. I would say probably about 65% of the windows within the umbrella have been replaced as with Broscos. The roof is all been repaired because must have been having water damage because of the roof walk. You know, that was a typical practice in the 80s and 90s, was to go get 1x10s or 1x12s and then feed that in. So that's a typical detail. Piers are under the main house, additions, a lot of cinder blocks, modern block were used in the two-story additions. And that's basically it. So that's why we're requesting this application. Thank you.
Yeah. Move again.
And again, it's just going to be an open lot.
What's the,
Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry, Holly, go ahead.
Thank you. For the record, this is Windy Side, a colonial revival from the 1830s. The HDC survey indicates Sanborn maps show 1900 as well. HSAB, they, for one other reason or another, did not provide official comments. This was on their agenda for yesterday with the additional information that Joe had provided. Thank you, Joe. But for whatever reason, did not do that. But I will mention that I did receive emails from them saying that this is a classic summer house from the late 19th, earliest 20th century. It should not be moved or demolished, especially, you know, it can be moved, you know, rather than be demolished. But also, there should be not being demolished to the extent that it is proposed. Let's preserve what little Nantucket summer cottage style we have left. From staff's perspective, you know, I again appreciate the additional photos. It would be nice to have, because I had mentioned this previously, that that Joe's office provided an extensive amount of the file, so we have that in the record. However, you really have to decipher and pull out and whatnot. When the dates that you've actually just mentioned, it would be helpful to have that associated with the photos that were provided. Because right now it's kind of trying to piecemeal it all together. And that was my overall question, was based on your proposed plans on how you figured out what should be retained and what shouldn't. I understand that there's some hodgepodge of dates here. And again, that's where I would request to have the those dates that you indicated with the file clearly.
Yeah, most of the stuff is in the file, and I get it. We did one preferably, and then this
Yes.
latest one is all about the interior.
Correct.
And how there's new piers, and it's been extensively renovated. And, you know, my drawings, I probably should have updated that whole side L there to the easterly side, because that's been all replaced, and keep going there to the left. Go back up one more.
And I think also one other thing too, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that structures over time are sistered. I mean, that's a
Not
very
served.
common, old practice,
This was just taken away.
That's
just
It's all
taken
new
away
studs,
completely.
yeah.
And it said
Linda and I
demolish.
crawled underneath the crawl space,
Do
and
not
Yeah.
demolish
it's the
the
whole
new
rear
house.
L, that whole L there shown now
That was
is all new framing, in cinder block. You know, the main mass, that gambrel,
Mhm.
I think if you saw that standing alone, I don't think you'd get it approved today, but
Don't use
that, the first floor has been new, you know, new joists under there as well. It's gone through a lot of work. The whole top tier of the roof on the gambrel, that's been sistered, not even sistered, new rafters there, and 1x10s or 1x10s or 1x8s are there as well.
Overall, Mr. Chair, or Madam Chair, sorry, I would just, at the end of the day, and I appreciate the file, appreciate the information provided. Just one, making the assumption that something wouldn't have been approved today. Clearly, your design guidelines are based on 1840s whaling era. Clearly, in the 1920s, we didn't have design guidelines. We weren't in a historic district. Again, there's that time frame that this is emulating to understand if a structure is unstructurally stable. I'm just, again, concerned on at what point why are we taking off these different additions, more contemporary additions? I get it, but are we wanting to preserve the 1920s section or not? And again, that's where I'm not clear. So that's all. My apologies for rambling. Thank you.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Linda.
I just want to point it out that I looked at the 38 aerials, the 57 aerials, 1998, all the way up to the current aerials, and I gave you a bunch of those at the very end of the packet of pictures. And the HCC allowed a house immediately to the west to be completely removed, which shows up on the Sanborn maps. And the HCC more recently, because I gave you pictures of it, allowed the house to the right, the east side, which is one of Wilcox's families, to be completely removed, and that is also on one of the Sanborn maps. And so I went all the way down the bluff, all the way down to where it hits Heather, and I went all the way down to Indian Avenue, which is where Steps Beach is. And all but maybe one on the bluff side have been altered, removed, and replaced by much larger structures. Or this is the sort of the same era as the houses that were up there. They were all done about the same time. I grew up in this Lincoln Circle around there. And over time, the HCC has allowed all these changes to happen on the bluff because it just was part of the development of the bluff these days. So I just wanted to point that out. And this is on one of the smaller lots. It's also a very unusually shaped lot compared to everybody else. So I think it's going to be difficult to deal with this structure unless it goes away completely. But then my other question is, if we take everything off that's been done to it, what exactly is going to be left? Is it going to be the upper floor of the gambrel supported by 2x4s, or what's left of it by the time we're finished renovating it and fixing it and taking things off that really don't have any use on the house, or fixing what's there? So I just sort of want to go through that. Joe's more familiar with the actual structure, other than my crawling around it and under it and over it.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anything else from the applicant?
I wanted to make a couple comments. Great vote for the applicant. I think these guys did a pretty good job, and I think obviously Joe's staff did a good job of showing you that the vast majority of the structure has been changed substantially over time. One point that Linda made that I just wanted to refine a little bit is it's a narrow lot. It's a big lot, right? But it's very long and narrow, so it is difficult for us to use this structure on the lot. Keep in mind that 300 feet of this lot is below the bank and unusable. 50 feet of the first part of the bank is unusable, obviously. It's within the buffer, the coastal bank. So, we don't have a lot of room to even move this main mass, number one. Number two, if we do, as Linda mentioned, what's going to be under it is a brand new foundation, and what's going to be left, and what have we preserved really? So that's all I wanted to say, and appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board members, anybody want to start first? Stephen, you ready?
Yeah, I actually want to make a general comment. I think that we're getting to the point with some of these structures that I don't know what the technology or what the solution is, but I think it would be good. We do as-built drawings for the file to indicate what the structure is, like if it's moved off or demoed. But I think, just throwing it out there, let's start thinking about like three-dimensional models that are digitized, and perhaps there's some way to translate that into real world, like a plaque or something that's on a site if something is moved and demolished.
You mean scanned or in 3D?
Like a 3D-dimensional representation of the structure, so scanned.
Okay.
Digitally scanned, and then that's in a universal file type, so that we start to develop an archive for this. I just thinking back to the Veranda House, if they had some changes done, I don't know, it was almost 20 years ago now. It would be really useful. 20 years ago, the technology didn't exist, but that's why it's, I think, applicable to bring it up now. Is just a general thought and a concept, something, one of the forest items we can address versus focusing on little trees would be something like this, in order to memorialize these structures and perhaps even do it in a way that can be interactive at the NHA. They have these little things, you press the button and the holograph pokes up. So I think there's some interesting things we can do. I'm not suggesting it's a trade-off, it's just topical. With respect to this structure, I tend to be, if it's something that has a structural integrity issue, then it's much easier to say yes on the move off demo. It's always appropriate, I think, I know we don't hold the new design hostage, but we want to see some of the silhouette reflected in the skyline, because preserving the character and setting in the neighborhoods where these old houses exist, I think, is really important. This is not a great example for that so much as, say, the cottages in Sconset, where you're interacting with those on a more personal level, and it's important to be able to bring some of that silhouette back into what comes to play. Proportions, height, massing. New isn't always better if it's not in keeping with what was there. So these are just kind of general thoughts. And then I wanted to, maybe somebody could refresh me, what did we do with the structure on Bassett Lane? It's different, but the same. It's different in the size and proportions.
I
but
think Ethan did that. He could maybe speak to that. Bassett,
Bassett
the house
Road.
on Bassett,
Bassett
that was
Road,
the
sorry.
tea house.
It was like 17
That's still
something,
there?
1700 something. That was you.
Were you and Ethan, wasn't it?
Hilger was the last name of the owner.
Oh, good.
No, I did that one, and we did maintain the existing structure, but took all the stuff that had been added onto it, moved it over so it looked like it did originally. And the house that replaced it had a lot of the similar character of it, but it was a two-story house, a full two-story house.
Okay.
So the original was put back to sort of what it used to look like, moved over to the side, and then the new house replaced it in that existing
That was it.
location.
Thank you.
There's
So
100 pages of documentation on that one.
quite a bit of work for you, and it was helpful for us. And I think so I want to balance that against the idea that this is a big lot, but much of it is not buildable. But I think that type of a consideration is what can be utilized of the existing most historic portion of the structure, and still represent the character and setting of the area, and the character and setting established by the structure itself. And the counterpoint to that is, yes, some of what's there wouldn't be approved now, much as we just approved one on, I think it was Easton Street, Ed Cable.
Yeah.
Where it was a net benefit in terms of what your sentimental, romantic, or generally informed eye would consider to be appropriate for that area. So this one has that kind of tall gable in the front, which isn't really in keeping with the gambrel as much. I know historically that, I think that that's reversed, right? Is the gambrel the more historic structure?
Correct.
Okay, so there you have an opportunity maybe to be, I'm not suggesting eliminating, first of all, I'm not trying to design at the table. I'm trying to give you fundamental broad swaths because this isn't going to be a one or two hearing application. So as opposed to commenting on particular things like, I think windows should be the same on a new house. I'm just trying to give a broad stroke of if this were approved, what I would like to see, because I think it's appropriate, not because I like it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. Diane or Val?
I'll go.
Okay, go.
I was gonna say before Stephen said his stuff, I think that the old historic part of the house should be kept and worked with. I remember way back, the house at the head of Main Street, Charlie Kilvert's family owned, and the painstaking that the person that bought that had to go through to renovate it. If you're buying a historic house, you know what you're in for. Allegedly, that's why you want to come to Nantucket. And to just allow a complete demo because it's convenient for somebody to market the lot as empty, I think is not something I'd like to see start.
Okay, thank you. I'll go.
Yes, Diane, please.
I couldn't agree more with Val. I think if it is claimed that it is unstructurally sound, I would like to see an engineer's report where it is structurally unsound. I was at the HASHAB meeting 2 weeks ago when they reviewed the 9, and they said that the main house should stay. It should not be removed. It shouldn't be moved. And they,
The main mass?
yeah, and that they didn't review it last meeting, yesterday, because they had left it out of the office. So anyway, that's why we didn't review it, or I didn't get to listen to it then. But it's an antique building, whether there are bits and pieces of it that are newer, the basic structure is there. And it's one of our oldest buildings in a historic place. And as I say, I agree with Val and her description of what it should be. And HASHAB has asked for the same thing, and they're our advisory board. So perhaps we should listen to them a little bit. So that's what I think for the time being.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just for clarification, HSAB did not review 9 Sherburne because the chair just did, it was on the agenda, he
forgot.
missed it.
Oh,
They
okay,
did review it several weeks ago.
They reviewed it in March.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's been seen.
They
But
reviewed
the-
it 2 weeks ago in the meeting that I was at
Right,
then.
no, I'm
You
just saying
remember.
that they had seen it. That's
Yeah.
all.
Okay, and
Just
those are the
clarifying.
notes that you read to us from March?
March, I read at previous meeting back in April.
Okay.
But my point was they didn't get to review it based on the additional information that was received.
Right, okay.
It was my whole point.
Yeah.
I did want to mention some, based on information that Joe's office provided. This research by the Inquirer Mayor Archives indicated that Sherburne Bluffs or Sherburne Heights area was one of the earliest to appeal to tourists and summer visitors when Nantucket was evolving into a tourist destination, especially for its medicinal sea bathing and breezes. Records show many advertisements for a rental property called Windy Side in the Sherburne area, and listing in the personal section of the newspaper announced the arrival of fortunate families to Windy Side for each summer season as far back as 1891. Just wanted to give you all that context. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Holly. I wanted to know the massing that faces, is it Sherburne? Is that the 1938?
No, that's
date?
1975 or 96.
So what's the 1938 is the main mass?
It's just the main
gamba?
mass.
Okay.
And for the record, I wasn't saying it was structurally unsound. I was saying that structurally there have been extensive work to repair, get it back where it is now. I'm not saying it's going to fall down. That's not what I was
Well,
stating.
you can always
and then
redo the foundation.
Go down the board.
Mhm.
Val, the ownership, it's not changing ownership. She owns the 2 abutting lots to the west. And the other part is we'll do a 3D scan. We're fine with that. And I honestly think that anyone has measured a house, you have 1/4-inch drawings, measurements to the 1/4-inch, you put those in the pack. I would say that you should do that to all. And I'm happy that Ethan has drawings of the veranda house. So that's great. So that was it.
So I was just saying what I thought, that I think the main mass is important to keep. That one with the half window in the gable there, coming towards you, I would like to see what you intend to do before we take that down. So those are my thoughts. So what's the feeling? Are we going to?
So I hope for some revisions and return it to HACCP for another look.
But what are we giving any sort of?
I think this application by itself as a standalone is simply about the demo or move off. It's not anything to do with a new building.
It's
So-
not. It's just an
Yeah.
open space, and then we've advertised it twice, and no one wants it.
No,
Right.
you can if you take all the wings off, but
Well, even Housing Nantucket, when we showed them just the main gambrel, they didn't want it.
Yeah.
no, they want all new buildings.
Well, if I may, Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I would, through you, just like to ask Joe for some feedback. I know he may not, I don't want to put him in a spot, but if he has anything he can share with respect to retaining the most historic part of the structure and then working this to a partial demo with changes to the structure. But it sounds like this is more of this is being taken off. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are they putting up a structure as far as you're aware, or this
Right
is a
now,
clear
it's-
off?
No, at 11, we removed that structure, and it's a dog park.
Okay,
She wants open space.
yeah, okay.
So, 5-10 years.
Yeah, I get
She
it.
may, but right now, the intention is, and she owns 9 Sherburne Way and 9 Sherburne Turnpike, and we're gonna come in with 9 Sherburne Turnpike and try and remove that and relocate that. We have 3 people that want that structure, which is right down the hill, the Gambrel,
Mhm.
that was once a garage that was renovated.
Yeah.
So Joe, can I just be clear? What is it that you want to do with this historic building?
Rip it down.
He wants to take it down.
So- Wow, okay. All right, so. Yeah. Well, it sounds like the board wants to preserve the main mass, so what's the pleasure of the board?
But they make a motion to, if we say revisions instead of saying, I would vote against the demo. I don't know how best to put that.
Is that what we're voting
So-
on exactly?
Yeah, it's
Can I-
MH's move off or demo.
Okay, so let's vote on that.
So can I continue it and speak to my client? And
That's where I was going with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so,
Motion to hold for revisions and/or additional information
and back to HSAP.
and back to
Yeah,
HSAP.
that's what I said.
Okay, all in favor of Steve's motion?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Pick on house.
I didn't understand. I don't know how I missed that it was, that there wasn't.
What's this
This
for?
is for 23, I'll send out that. We'll give you time to look at it. Between now and next week, there's a lot of information.
23, oh, I see, it's hold. Okay, so you, your next one, Abby, is,
It goes with the record here, then-
23
Oh, I got it
front?
right here.
Yeah, this is-
Different.
this is-
15, okay.
Oh, 15.
It's
Oh.
a solar. It's gotta be.
Oh, okay. Oh, Tobias?
Exactly.
I know, right?
He's here.
Oh,
Oh, this is his project. We're gonna paint.
Thank you, members of the HDC board. So what you see before you is I added those 2 additional panels that were requested on the bottom. And this side of the roof will be painted black,
Just the one side?
just the one side.
Okay, that's pretty simple.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I appreciate the shifting of the panels, but I cannot go along with a house that has one light gray side and one black side.
That's totally fair. I did speak with the client about it, and they just really feel strongly they'd really like it to be gray. And so if you'd like to force them, that's fine, but I'd request you take a look at this building that has one side is black and one side is gray. And that's the building we're standing in, and it shows the architectural changes that undergo buildings through time. It's not necessarily uncommon on Nantucket. I drove into town today, and the club car has green shingles and gray shingles, and it shows some of the change over time of the building. And I think in this case, the solar panels being on one side, that's black, that's blending them in, and it's not impacting the other sides of the structure as we move through. But if you'd like it painted black, I'm resistantly yielding. It's the pleasure of the board.
Thank you. Thanks, Tobias. Are you, let's see.
I'm on it.
You're on it. Go.
I am.
Yeah.
I think where you see 2 colored roofs, those weren't applied for and they weren't approved. I think this would be a very stark contrast. I think the fact that there are going to be solar panels on the side, which is visible, but I think it's okay to have the solar panels here. I think it's really important that the roof all match, even the porch roof. Because the solar panels attract a little bit of attention to see it, and then you might go look on the other side to see if there's panels. I just think you can't have an Oreo cookie, chocolate on the outside, vanilla on one roof. But other than that, I'm for this application.
Thanks, Carrie. Let's see. Diane.
I don't know, I've driven around a lot, and I don't know that I've seen a house with gray and black, and then the roof of the little front thing is gray also, I guess. So, I don't know, maybe he could talk, most of it's gray except for the solar panels, all the other little buildings are gray. Gray is going to be visible all the way coming up. So I would prefer to see the roof, both color, same color.
Okay. Thanks, Diane. Val, did you finish? Did you
Yeah.
finish?
Yeah, it was, I have nothing else but that.
So personally, I think I'd rather just see the solar on the gray, given that it's, back from the road and it's at an.
It's right on the road.
Well, I think it's at an obscure angle, and I think it's not going to be an egregious, I think it's okay. So, anyway, what's the pleasure of the board here?
I will just mention consistency. If you're gonna open that door, then
Did you
think
have-
about that.
You have got different pictures, what I'm looking at for the house.
Right.
I'm into
There's the-
bicolor
There
roofs.
is the solar panel. This is the road,
I'm looking at this one, see.
Abby.
Yeah.
Is there.
but this, it's right there and you're going to see it
Yeah,
from whatever angle you
right.
go
Well,
at.
I know we have, I don't find it offensive, so,
Okay, no, I just,
Interesting.
so it's just, here we go.
This is
Um,
also a test case for that paint.
Yes, it is, and it's more about, is it appropriate than is it offensive? So I would say, I would vote for this to try the paint, but I would insist that the whole entire roof was painted.
I'm
We just-
with
can I
you.
Just tell you guys something on the paint.
Yeah.
Was it you who told me this? Scott O'Connor, builder, has a place out on Arrowhead Drive. And there's solar panels that were approved on his back building. And the condition of it was that the shingles would be painted from gray to black.
remember that.
Scott's a friend of mine, and this happened like 5 years ago. And he said he was not happy to do it, but that the paint works. Just FYI, 5 years later.
What's the
Black.
address, do you know?
No, but I can look it up.
Yeah, I'd like to go look at
It's
it.
like,
Is it by Yates Gas? Okay.
it's like 3 doors in.
It's right after Brown.
Okay,
So you
if
can't
that's
miss it.
what the
Second one on the
board
left, you can't
feels,
miss it.
if that's the pleasure of the board, make a,
We just approved
Make a
one with the
motion.
painted roof.
Go
We just
for it.
approved the painted roof on one of these.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I would motion to approve this with the caveat that the entire roof is painted black.
Okay, that's Val's motion. All in favor of Val's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tobias.
Thank you so much, and I hope you all go outside, you leave and see the two-color roofs. of
I'm
this
gonna look
building.
now.
Thank you.
I think green and gray versus light gray and black are significantly different.
Significantly different.
Mm-hmm.
I think solar panel companies should come up with different colors.
I know, get on the.
Their panel should coordinate with the,
No, we
The
just want to
GAF.
cram it down our throat.
Right,
21
Oh,
Pleasant.
do I
Tori.
sense a little frustration in Commissioner Oliver's voice?
she's gonna
Well,
snap
a
her
two-tone
pen.
roof that you can see both sides in a matter
Time
of
for a
walking
Twizzler.
2 minutes.
Well, maybe
It
make,
would just be bizarre.
maybe you should use the old silver panels. Okay. Okay,
We
here we
moved
are
on.
on 21
Yeah,
Pleasant.
that would have worked
Yeah.
better.
right.
We've got
Yeah.
And the
Coos,
shingles too.
Oliver, Welsh,
And,
As well.
And you.
and you.
and, yeah. Okay, Tori.
You ready for me?
Yes,
Has everyone had a minute to open the drawings?
yes.
Okay, so based on our last conversation, we have done a couple things that I hope the board finds satisfactory. The first of which is we've taken the grade numbers off the grade line altogether, Stephen, so that it is not part of the vote or on the drawings, to be reintroduced with the landscape plan that we've spoken a little bit about. The eave height on the second floor addition has been reduced down 9 inches to be subordinate to the main mass as requested. And then the post, Abby, where you wanted the lattice in back, couple things. It's gonna be a family room, not that the interior program is under your purview, but that's gonna be a family room down there, walkout, like covered porch area. So they really did not want to do lattice, but we did beef up the posts and made them more substantial, hoping to your liking. And I also will note, I believe I rescanned the original photos with this resubmission, and you can see that the smaller 4x4 posts exist now and have for quite some time. So it's been that way for quite a while with the open posts. And with that, I believe that was everything in the minutes. There you go.
Excellent. Sorry. I think, Stephen, you're on this, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, if you're ready.
So, Tori, I have a mind like a steel trap. You should know this by now. So the concern I have, I appreciate the architectural changes. I think that they are appropriate. This reminds me to some extent of the old Tashma farmhouse, which has an addition very similar to this on the rear. It doesn't terminate in hip, it's a gable. And the windows there are much larger, and interestingly enough, they're 1/1, which was really expensive at the time because some of them are still the old style glass. The grade is where I'm going to go back to because it's both relevant to the, what are we saying, the north elevation and the west elevation presentations. And the actual, I think the motion was to update these elevations to indicate the grade prior to having fill brought on site. And what that boils down to is that on the north elevation, there's an approximately 32-inch difference between the grade at that time and the bottom of the shingle line. At the jog, which is slightly more to the right of mid-center, again on the north elevation, it's a 62-inch plus dimension from the bottom of the corner board shingle line to the grade. And at the very rear of the structure, which would be the rightmost corner, from the same point, which is the corner board bottom of the shingle to the grade, is 80 plus inches. So this actually reflects, if it were to be scaled, this grade would change to be deeper from front to back than is currently shown. I would like to have the grade included in the motion to be that it will be preserved as a condition of this approval. And it is the 32 inches at the front left of the north elevation, the 62 plus inches at the jog right of center on the north elevation, and the 80 plus inches on the rightmost corner of the structure.
Just for clarification, I was fully intending on you referencing the 2019 Google Maps, and I discussed that with the client.
Okay.
And they are fully aware of that.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew no surprises here.
I was expecting you to do that, so no worries.
Those are my comments. Thank you, Madam
Oh,
Chair.
thank you, Stephen. Diane, you were on this.
Yeah, I go along with the additions and the corrections. I think it's important to get the land going down to Candle Way, and I want to see those figures maintained, and I want something that says they have removed the extra dirt from around the existing trees that are on this property. I think that was mentioned that you had done that, right?
Madam Chair, through you to Diane, only the holly tree is on this property, just to be clear. The property line goes from right behind the holly tree straight back to the
Okay, those
separate
other
lot
trees are
on the other lot.
on the other
But
lot.
we are fully intending to work with that lot and come in with a cohesive plan for both properties to address all of your concerns.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and Val, did you go?
No, but
No,
I
please.
appreciate the changes, and I'm good with the house.
Tori, I still think with these verticals going 3 stories, I think it reminds me still of something you might see in the city. And I think the obscured window going over, the stairs going over it seems like an extra thought. And I'm just wondering if you couldn't maybe just keep the decking on the right-hand side. That would be my pleasure. Just looking at it on the south elevation, if you just did your outside space on the south side and not turn the corner and bring it around to the back, because I think it's sort of taking away from the historic building. But maybe nobody else, but thank you. I appreciate the drop in height of the additive massing. And the grade change is going to be corrected. So what's the pleasure here?
Can I get a clear, oh, go ahead, Diane, I'm sorry.
Didn't you have a motion with the, all about the,
Yeah, I'd like to get one clarification if I may though first. Torian, because there isn't a roof plan, so it's hard to
I
discern.
think it's probably a couple months back, but I'm happy to provide one. It's in
No,
the
no,
old,
no,
it's
no,
in the
no,
older
that's okay.
submissions.
It
Yeah.
just with respect to interpretation, so through you, Madam Chair, I just want to confirm that the stair that's shown on the west elevation and the extension of the deck towards the west is only the depth of the stair. It's not
Yes, correct.
additional?
That is
Okay,
correct.
because that would have been much more of a concern for me, because I get what Abby's saying, but I think
The floor,
given,
yeah, I think the floor plans are in the scan. I don't think you have them in front of you, but they are on the screen if you'd like to confirm that. But that will show you that it's only the staircase that extends beyond.
okay.
Well,
See, wait, is that
So,
older? Yeah, there it is on the
It shows
top
it on
left.
so what I'd like to do is make a motion that basic, could you please flip the west elevation?
Oh, yeah, you are right. The deck is extended. Well,
It
the top
extends
of
about
the stair.
36 inches.
Yeah.
It's the deck extends to the depth of the stairs.
So if we could focus on the west elevation.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just through you to Stephen, before you make your motion, did we receive the window survey?
It is in the office.
It is
I
in
will- I will bring it to your desk tomorrow morning.
Okay, make sure that that is referenced.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'd like to represent this here. And how I'd like to do it is have the bottom portion of the stair, and I say like because I think it's appropriate, not because I like it. I want to bring it home with me and color with it. I just want it to be.
We got the full elevation.
Yeah, can we slide over
Oh, yeah,
3
hold on.
inches?
bring this over.
So basically what I'm going to suggest in my motion, but I want to point it out before I make the motion, is to replicate this portion here by moving the stair over.
Okay,
So you
and have it
basically are gonna
start into
split
the deck?
this, and it will be, the stair is going to start further down.
Okay,
So that with respect to obstructing the building, there won't be a change, much of a change, because it's only going to protrude
Yes.
into the jog.
I'm sure that's
by
not a
half of
problem.
it. So
Yep.
basically, this would just slide back by half.
got it.
That would be the motion. In addition to adding the elevations on the north and transferring to the west with 32 inches at the front corner on the north, the left corner, 62 plus inches at the middle right of center, and 80 at the rightmost corner. All of these are measured from the corner board, existing corner board to grade, which grade shall be maintained in perpetuity. Is there anything else? Oh, did you not turn it
It's
in
in the office. I just need to.
And
hand
the
it to-
window
I need to
survey.
hand it to Holly.
through staff?
Steve? Was what you were discussing at the whiteboard, was that part of the motion? Because I couldn't hear it.
Did I not say move the stair over by half?
I couldn't
gonna
hear
write-
that.
I'm going to
You
write
were-
this on the application too. Yes,
Okay, so move the west elevation stairs.
yes, to the right by half of the length of the stair
Thank you.
to be incorporated in the proposed deck. Gives a nice little alcove up there. That's my motion.
Sorry, Stephen, it's, all in favor of Stephen's motion. Oh, sorry. All in favor of Stephen's motion.
Aye.
Are you in favor of your motion?
I
Stephen?
happen to be on this one.
Yeah, I think I'll go along with it too. Thanks, Tori.
Thank you. And just for clarification, that'll be through staff. I'll make those changes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, thank you, Abby. All right, so 65 Pleasant Street, we're now on to new business of June 21st. Somebody here for that, either live or
In our Zoom, Mr. Chair.
on Zoom?
Yes, I'm here. Sam
hi.
Phelan.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you doing?
Very good.
So let's see, you want a fence at 65 Pleasant?
Yes. a replacement of the existing split rail fence, actually.
I missed that.
Right.
Yeah, it's something about a split rail fence.
Are you having difficulty hearing me?
Yeah, so you may want to turn off your video portion if you're having bandwidth trouble.
Let me. Can you hear me any better now?
Uh,
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, better.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
this is unusual. Never had this problem.
So, Mr. Phelan,
Yes,
it looks like this might be an as-built where there's a split rail fence in front of your house. Is that correct?
yes.
Yes?
No.
This is a replacement of that split rail fence.
Okay, so let me make sure I got all this. So you have a photograph of a split rail fence in front of your house. You want to replace that with a split rail fence?
No,
No.
the historic.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
No.
sorry.
There was a restoration here of the Facadas house about 10 years ago. That was done by Twig Perkins.
Yep.
And at that time, we did not put in the original fence that was the same as what occurred or was there back in the 1890s. And what we are trying to do now is to remove the split rail fence and install a new fence that replicates the 1890 fence.
Gotcha. Okay. That was very clear. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So Holly, I'm sure you have something to say on this.
Yes, sir. So HSAB didn't review it, but I did. For the record, his historic structure is between 1834 and 1848, with that front gable added in 1890. I concur with this proposal. He's got photographic evidence, and it should match exactly to this 1890s photo, including the size of the spindles and the heavy caps that are shown. And obviously a great addition to this very historic and contributing structure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, board members, regular board.
I'll go.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan, for always keeping your house so nice and
Yeah, really.
true to history. My grandparents lived across the street from you for years, the Olivers.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, so it sounds like you might be in favor of the
Yes.
proposal. Okay, Diane.
I am also.
All right, Abby,
Ditto.
anything?
As am I.
All right, motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Val got it. All those in favor of Val's motion to approve as submitted?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Phelan.
Thank you very much.
Seeing your new
Appreciate it.
fence. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Lydon, come on up. Again, unless there's any objections, it'll be the regular board. Stephen has announced that he's going to be leaving in about a half an hour. So Carrie, you're going to have plenty of stuff that you're going to be able to do shortly. Hi. Is that on?
Hello? Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
sorry.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
So let's see. 23 front, you want to go from 3 tab to architectural. Do you actually need to present anything, or? Let's see.
He's looking like no.
Well,
I don't know what else to
I got a
present.
feeling, okay, so, and the color you're after is moire black. All right.
Yeah, most of the asphalt shingles around there are moire black. But
Yes.
when I did the homestead, the board wanted me to use colonial slate, so I don't really have a preference of color.
You
But
don't.
the black is pretty,
Okay,
common.
let's see what Sconset had to say about it.
Thank you,
Holly.
Mr. Chair. So for the record, this is a circa 1800, the Robinson George Meter house. It was an original whale cottage that was part of a boathouse and originally moved from Sacajah Pond area. Pretty cool. It's individually significant within the old historic district of Sconset. And Sconset Advisory took a look at this on June 27th. They said, consistent with past practices, architectural shingles are not preferred in the SOH. Obviously, architectural or asphalt shingles in general are not technically a historic feature of a structure of this vintage. And I would agree with that. Whether this stays as 3-tab, that would be more of a preference. So those are my comments and their comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Board members.
Personally, I think it's a bit harsh, the black, but I think we've said that we can have it in historic district. So.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. Next.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, you ready?
Yeah, I don't have any concerns with it.
Diane?
It's okay.
Sorry?
Okay.
You good? I am too.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there we go. All those in favor? of
Aye.
Val Canal's motion to approve, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go. Thanks for waiting.
You're welcome.
I'm sure it's been entertaining.
Yes, hasn't it been? Okay, so we're gonna hold items 3 through 5 till the 19th. That's already, we don't need to move that. So we're now on to item 6 at 18.5 Gray.
Oh,
I
Miss
forget.
Thornwell.
Is that- do you know
That's
where
me.
do you know where my girls live?
No.
They live on Gray Avenue. I just don't know.
18 and a half is sort of close to the bend.
It's
away.
by
Oh, then
Big
they're-
Fair and Tello.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
they're
It's
not
next to
that
the
far down.
pool you just.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm good.
Um,
Okay.
It could also be called, I think, 18A. It's 18 and a half or 18A. And there's a main house at the front of the property, which is like a 5-bay, full 2-story. I think there's photographs of it, I hope. Yeah. So that's in front. You can see how the driveway goes down the back. And this cottage is basically back at the end of the driveway there. And I think we got approval on one that was horizontally located, and now we're turning it and doing a porch and a few little other things. So I thought a whole new application would be clearer. So the front is due north, and that would be facing the street. Setback way behind the main house. There's a lot of dormers because we're keeping it to 23 feet tall, I think. And 22.6, and she's looking to have decent second floor space in the cottage. Windows and doors to match the house. Driveway to remain as is. All the color, the dark windows and natural trim are all to match the main house.
Thank you, Carrie.
Uh-huh.
Board members.
Very simple.
Probably a closet there, but I was just wondering on the north elevation if there could be a window to the right, but you're gonna tell me.
Yeah,
there's a
we're packing
closet
it
there or
further.
something. See, it would just balance that front door, I think. Minor.
The other part's for it.
Is that it?
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Who's
I'll
next?
go.
Yep.
I know this neighborhood extremely well, and I think this is very appropriate as a second dwelling in the neighborhood and behind the main mass, so I have nothing.
Okay, thank you, Val. Diane?
No, I think it's appropriate as it is.
Okay, Stephen?
Both charming and appropriate.
All right, I think we have liftoff.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Sounds good to me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go, Carrie. Okay, 77 Sparks, anybody?
Mr. Chairman, he requested to hold to the next meeting.
So
Uh,
moved.
Okay, like Thursday meeting or next Tuesday, or did he specify?
Oh, are we having a Thursday? It doesn't kick
No,
in
it's funny
yet?
because we just voted it out, so I guess not. Okay, so that would be the next Tuesday.
Correct.
All right, so can somebody move this to next Tuesday?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. One Stone Post, Val Oliver,
me.
approach the bench. Okay.
So do you need me?
This is an application for a garage apartment on One Stone Post Way. It's 24 foot 11 in height, 990 square feet on the ground, natural to weather trim, Terratone windows, everything to match the house, which I do have some photos of on the cover page. It's in the very rear back northeast corner to the, to where the setbacks are, so it can be as inconspicuous as possible. Everything is to match the house. It is a modular. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Val.
I didn't get plans. Can you scroll down? I don't have plans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, you have them.
I was bogarting the plans.
Mr. Chair, I do have
oh,
Sconset.
sorry, yeah, that's right.
I have
Sconset.
Sconset. Sorry, I didn't email these to you,
Yep.
Val. My apologies.
That's okay.
Sconset looked at this on June 27th. They said they would like to see this reflect more of a feel of the existing main house. Little continuity between the two structures. On the southwest, glass sliders not appropriate. Vertical lights on garage doors preferred. And those are their comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, that was it? Okay, thank you. Board?
I have,
Anybody ready to begin?
I think, if I may just point out, if you go to the cover page, there's an aerial shot of this house, just to give you context and idea. As you see, there's a hedge all the way down Stone Post and vegetation behind it, but yeah, there you go.
But this building is going to the right of the existing, where the car is kind of on that end of the property.
Where?
It's not going in the yard here that we're looking at the.
No,
main-
no, no, it's behind the
It's behind-
house.
Right, it's behind those
Yeah.
little trees where the car is kind of,
Yeah,
where those trees are.
And which is this, which is the elevation that's on Stone Post?
the one on Stone Post would be the garage doors.
This could be a better thing. I don't think it's on Right. This is shorter too. So like I think the proportion of this would have come down right too. Yeah, I think they gave it a second. It's not a really dressy trim. So right, it's gonna be confusing.
Hey, Val,
Plus it's uneven.
Yeah.
your site plan, I don't think shows the garage.
What?
Ray, I think you're looking at the wrong drawings. I have the same problem. My drawings say, something Low Beach Road, 19 Low
Oh,
Beach Road.
okay, so these got mixed up and I had to send new online plans, but maybe the sister is building at 19 Low Beach Road, so it might be,
But your elevations.
the elevations are behind you, sorry.
These elevations are wrong in our packet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not at all.
I thought I replaced them. Yeah.
No.
No, it's the house next door, the two sisters. I got them mixed up.
Oh, okay, so this is wrong.
Yeah,
Good.
okay. So those garage doors face,
Stone coat, well, yeah, but if you look at how the driveway is, go to the cover
yeah,
page.
yeah, no, it makes sense.
It's not directly in line with the, coming in, you kind of come in and swoop to the left.
So maybe we.
Sorry, I thought I corrected all of this.
Can we see the elevations again? All right, anybody ready?
I make a motion, we hold this application till it's complete.
Okay,
I'm teasing. I'll go. I think the only concern I would have is, I think that the main house is kind of squatty. So you've stayed true to form. This is a little wider than the last garage we looked at with dormers. I think what would be appropriate would be to utilize on the, what you're calling the left elevation and the right elevations, is to incorporate a header beam for your, over your windows in order to lower the eave and perhaps even the ridge of the main, of the dormer, but also perhaps the, I guess that would be it. I wouldn't lower the ridge of the main structure. But you could lower, if you put a header beam in, you can lower your eave, and then you can lower the termination of the shed roof into the main roof accordingly.
okay, lower everything on the dormer.
Yeah. I think on the left and the right, it will help it to be in better proportion with the images I'm seeing of the proportions of the main house, noting that the proportions of the main house are primarily the gable tying into a porch roof.
Okay, Stephen, thank you. Who's next?
Val, is it the same roof pitch as the main house?
No.
No, it's,
The main house, I think, is like a 11 or a 12, and this is, well, I can't read it, 8?
it appears kind of squat. I don't know if that's what Stephen was saying, but
It was, Glenn.
I just, and the dormers coming out at that strange angle makes it appear even more squat because your eye stays with those sort of dormers at the top, making it look very flat. I think if that, I'd be fine with it.
A
If that,
steeper pitch?
yeah. I think it might pull it together for me personally.
Okay, thank you. Diane, you ready?
Yep, I haven't got a,
Oh, that's.
Those are the wrong plans.
Yeah, those, you have to look at these.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have
those
the
are-
wrong paper. This is the,
that's the other house.
yeah.
Yeah, those,
Okay.
see, the garage doors face.
Right, is that the garage sort of emulates the main house. Because there's another garage going up in the sister's place, and
Mhm.
I think each one should follow what the house has, but other than that, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's filled in. And the pitch of the roof, we're good. What were you suggesting, the pitch of the roof?
Be steeper.
Steeper, yeah,
I think it looks a little squat, especially with the dormers on top, making it look
come down like that. That's what I would suggest too, meaning also.
Okay. Thank
By
you.
bringing the plate down, the eave line down, the main eave line down, and then, because it's gonna get much taller, and I don't think the house is very tall.
I was
No.
gonna say the
What's
same
the-
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
What's the height?
so.
I think the house is 25.
24, 11? What, how tall is the house, Val? versus
Geez,
this?
I don't know.
And
The
what
garage.
how tall is this garage?
It's
garage is
2411, so 25.
So I'm wondering if a way to incorporate the house and the garage is to have some of the gable dormers, and I wonder if that gives you decent space, and if you, I don't know if you can then lower the eaves and raise the pitch in that way.
Okay.
But it can't be higher than the building next door.
Is that it?
Yeah, just, it does read as quite a square on sort of every elevation.
Yeah.
So raising the pitch is a great idea.
Okay.
But to try not to raise it by raising the ridge.
Right, it will
Yeah.
keep the height under
Yeah.
It'll
the
bring the
main
eaves
house.
closer to where the porch is hitting the wall.
Okay, so why don't I go back to these guys and.
Can I just give one little additional thing?
Yeah.
The pent roof over the garage doors, when I look at it from the side, it appears to have an extremely steep roof pitch, which I think would look like seriously odd. It's.
The upper right
That's what,
and down there.
Yeah.
That's like a
Oh, yeah, I
12
gotcha.
and 16 or something like that.
Okay.
So, and I'm not sure that I love the pent roof to begin with, so that might be looked at. Should we hold this for some
Yeah,
revisions?
we'll hold for revisions. Yeah.
Okay, who, was that your motion, Diane?
Yes.
Okay, Diane has moved to hold this for minor revisions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go, Val.
thank
Good night, everyone.
Oh, yeah, good night, Stephen. So Stephen's gonna find a new,
Going nuclear.
yeah, going nuclear.
New job?
No, he's gonna, new energy source for the island.
Oh, that's.
Yes.
Do away with
Okay,
turbines.
Ethan.
Hi.
Hi,
New
hi,
house.
Ethan.
Hey. So this is a secondary dwelling. It's a prefab. It's going to be for her employees, two of them. And it's on one of those lots on Pinecrest. It's a very long and narrow, and it butts Old South Road. And on the right and left, there's more lots. So this is by the, I did not do the drawings. I'm just here to represent the company. So it's narrow lot, 23 feet high.
Whoa, jeepers.
Yeah.
You're not kidding, narrow lot.
So and this is the dimensions of the company that comes on the truck.
It's what?
You know, the dimensions of prefab, the box of the prefab.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they usually come in boxes. This is just one box. So they,
Go out.
As opposed to a double wide.
you know, like when they come off the trucks, they come in, they're built as rectangles.
Yeah. It's efficient because it's the size of a module.
Yeah.
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 Is it a tiny house?
Yes.
Yes.
Where is it going?
Old South Road.
You know those pork chop weird lots? Yeah.
On the left-hand side going out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Pinecrest Road is the actual cul-de-sac that goes in, but all the
Right.
lots go to, so the main house is way up in Pinecrest, but this is,
That's the Jeff, one of Jeff Willette's sons live there.
Oh.
A long skinny.
I'll go if you're ready, Mr.
Ready, Val?
Chair.
Yeah, go.
So initially, when I looked at this, I was like, oh, geez, what is this? But here's my thoughts. Given the context of the lots in the area, most of those lots on the street have hoop houses, equipment. You know, it's the storage part of the lot for commercial residential. I think that was the intent. So I'd love to see a little cute house go up. And I think this lot in particular, if I'm not mistaken, has vegetation on the road. Is the vegetation staying?
oh yeah, the vegetation is all staying because they don't want to look at the road.
Okay,
And also, the main house is white. This is going to be cedar, natural
okay.
weather with a black architectural roof and black
So
windows.
it's more blending in. I'd love to try and see what this looks like. This might be a whole revolution here.
How
Okay,
wide is it?
all right,
It's only
Val.
13.9.
Thank you. Who's next?
Also, the south is facing Old South, right?
Correct.
I'm
Yes.
just wondering, because on the north, the little porch really helps to cut the verticality of it.
Yes.
And I wonder if your client would be open to putting a little porch on the south side to help cut that verticality and give them a little respite from the sun.
I could ask her, but they just don't want to sit and look at the road.
Sun is right on.
They don't want to look at the road, so it's going to be all vegetation buffer. They're going to be living on the opposite side.
Well, so this would be a porch, not so much for them, but for us.
It'd be, right, be a porch to nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, what about extending the porch there? Does that go right into the setback?
Yeah.
As cute as you can get in that area, I mean, that much room.
Yeah.
Okay, Carrie, that's it?
Yeah. And it's
All
not
right.
under
This is
bridge.
kind of the
Okay.
way she
Yeah.
does some kind
You
of
ready, Abby?
holistic-
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve, but I'm,
Who she is.
Let's see, let's see.
No, first
No,
thing,
we
but I
agree,
know
but
she
I
does.
think this is employee housing.
Oh, were you gonna say something, Holly?
Well, I was just gonna point out to Carrie's point.
Carrie, you were talking about having that on this side, right?
Yeah, having one on the other
And-
side, just to,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then Labby even mentioned about having a wraparound. Well, technically, you're within the setback, so. Just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Thank you. Abby?
what?
Oh, that's right, you were all set. Diane?
Oh, here, Diane.
I think that it fits in 13 and a half feet wide. I think that's pretty good to get a room out of it. It's very simple. The houses that are there are simple. I don't think you will see much of the west elevation. Because isn't there a couple of houses right next to this one?
Well, there's, I don't really know. There's stuff, like Val was saying, there's people's
Hoop
shops. There's a
houses.
big
Yeah.
shop state.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then there's just, the other lots are just all wooded. There's more lots, right? So if you look at the site plan.
Right.
We
zoom
don't
up.
have a locus.
Yeah, the locus is in there. But see the locus is way at the top.
No, I
There
think.
it is. So zoom in all into that. See, there's the
Oh,
lot.
yeah, look at, they're
so
so
you'll see the
weird.
long side of it.
Yeah.
And then there's
on
no,
the-
but Pinecrest, there's another lot next to it on the right and left.
Yep,
So
no buildings yet though, but there is one coming to the right of it, I think.
it could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diane?
No, so I think that it's gonna fit in. It's got enough, just got enough room to slither down that slither. So it's simple, doesn't look fussy. So I'm okay with it.
Okay. Thanks. I liked Carrie's idea, the porch on the back. I do, like her, I don't feel like it's a deal breaker. Because I'm sure that your client is interested in keeping the vegetation just as much as we're, well, it's not a unattractive building. So I think I'm good with it the way it is. Should we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Everyone in favor of Diane's motion to approve as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. There you go.
Thank
buddy.
you.
All right, let's see. Do we have Twig Perkins at 18 Center?
Look, today.
No.
I did it
That's
today.
fantastic. Yeah, that's great.
And I
Just over at
18
Bonnie's
Center
place.
Street.
I like that too. Very cool.
I'm gonna give it to Carrie for her birthday.
Not do we have somebody to rep this?
Yes, Twig's, he's in.
Oh, Twig's on Zoom? Okay. Hey, Twig?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yep, we got you. Thanks.
Good.
Okay, so 18 Center Street, Sconset. Raised.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you want to tell us about this?
Essentially, there's a need for a bathroom on the second floor. The bedrooms are grandfathered, but there's no bathroom on the second floor. So I tried to design the least obtrusive addition to the roof, starting with a small bathroom, which looked funny, so I extended it towards one of the bedrooms. As it stands now, the building is a duplex with two kitchens, and it's going to become a single-family dwelling. It is also sitting on the ground, so it is going to need foundation work and floor system.
I can go.
Well, one second. Okay, Twig, thank you. Now we'll hear Sconset Advisory.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for the record, this is an individually significant structure, the Matthew Barney Frederick Mitchell House. This is called the Ivy Lodge, circa 1814, and it's a T-plan house. And it's actually included within Henry Foreman's book on page 206 to 210. For the benefit of the commission, this is with the T-plan. Sorry, I don't have it digital, but this is right out of Henry Foreman's book. Sconset took a look at this on June 27th. A Sconset original on Center in the heart of the old historic district of Sconset, Ivy Lodge, has been mostly untouched in its long tenure. Breaking through the roof and the original materials would be a significant loss of architectural history. It's old and undisturbed. It's best to leave it that way. Mary Bergman from MPT said it's an incredibly significant structure and one of our oldest structures on the island. And then in addition to, I wanted to point you out to, and thank you, Twig, for providing it, within the file is an extensive research that was commissioned by the Sconset Trust and done by Marcia Fader-Brock, very, very extensive. Again, I would highly recommend taking a look at it. Want to remind you all that, yes, in the packet, there's some examples of other structures within the area that have 2 stories. However, I just want to reiterate that just because other buildings of similar height are proposed does not mean it's inappropriate to this structure. It's disingenuous to use these examples as this is not a one-in-one comparison. These taller structures have stood at their respective heights for at least 94 years. For example, 26 Broadway was built in 1887, that height. The grocery at Pump Square today, the Well Spout, in 1928. In and Out at 6 Center Street, northernmost section, has been in existence since 1890. And according to a report prepared by Betsy Tyler and Marcia Fader for this. So again, there's a reason for this structure to be at this elevation, and adding to it because of other structures would basically change the character defining features of this contributing structure. So those are the comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Board members.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Val.
Right, Val.
Excuse me. I actually thought this was a pretty sensitive approach. It seems a minimal change to keep the bulk of the integrity of this house, unlike an application we had earlier today to just demo it because we don't want to deal with it. I think, you know, I think it's a pretty sensitive approach. Can maybe the gable dormers on the west be a little tighter and smaller? I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I think it's affecting minimal part of the building. And we have to let buildings evolve with people, don't we? If they're trying to be sensitive. Just saying.
Yeah. All right, Val, thanks. Who's next?
I'm along the same lines as Val, but this looks like it could have been original.
Carrie, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm on, oh, my thing is not even on, sorry. I'm I'm just saying, I think it's a really sensitive addition, and I think it actually looks like it could have been original. I think the offset dormers, yes, I agree, they could be smaller possibly, but even at the scale that they are, they're proportionate with the other elements, the gables that are on that same elevation. And the windows on the east side are all of the existing nature. That dormer isn't changing. I think the roof line reads so very similarly. I think it actually helps the building. I mean, we don't like to see a long ridge that long. If you look at the existing east elevation, that's something we wouldn't necessarily, yeah, and the little pop-up, I think actually helps this little building. Retaining all those windows.
Carrie, thank you.
I can go.
Abby? Okay.
Yeah, I think, well, on the east, you do have those shed dormers, and I'm just wondering if this, where is Twig? There it is. I was just wondering if those on the west could be shed dormers combined as and that would mimic the east and be pretty subtle. I think it's a very subtle change, and I am for it anyway. Thank you.
Okay, Abby, thanks. Diane?
I have one thing, and I'm not sure, Val pointed out to me what it was. On the north elevation, that gable that comes out with the red thing around it. I think I don't like that. But where is it on the other side, so I can see what the result of that is? Which one did you say?
Are we talking
This
about?
right here
Yeah,
is this. These, it's looking this way
yeah.
of these.
So you're seeing those.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And there it is looking.
the
you know,
other way.
that
I don't
way.
know why
Yeah.
it disturbs me so much on the north elevation, and I don't mind it everywhere else. I don't know why. Everything else is so simple in the house. I wonder why it does have to be, the dormers have to be doghouse dormers rather than, I don't know whether sheds would be any smoother or what. I think it's a good drawing and I don't mind them, but if it's the age of the building that Holly mentioned, it might not be in keeping what would be there. If it didn't have the history of it that it has, I wouldn't have a problem with the whole thing, but trying to keep it to what was good. On the south elevation, why did you remove that little kooky thing?
I'm not sure what you mean on the south elevation.
On
South
the
elevation.
left-hand side of the south elevation, you're getting rid of that little,
Sheddy thing.
yeah, the shed.
Oh, on the first floor, yes.
Yeah.
That is actually a recent addition, and it was a entry into a kitchen, and there are presently two kitchens in the building, both on either ends of the house. So I'm proposing to eliminate one of the kitchens, which is where that little entry is. And my study has shown that it was probably built in the late 70s, early 80s by the construction. But anyway, that's being turned into a bedroom.
Okay.
So I would like to eliminate that little overhang porch deal.
Right, it sort of broke up the roof line and all that stuff. That's what it does, because it's really got a long eave, long. So I don't
Yes.
know. That's what I have to say, I can't tell you whether I would approve it or not. All I can tell you is, as a architectural building, I like it very much. As a historic building, that particular dormer, two dormers, I guess, disturbs me both on the north and the south side. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. It's my turn. So I actually like the idea, Twig, of taking those gable dormers on the west elevation. By the way, I agree with just about all the comments that were made. I think that this is a sensitive addition and that we should allow for sensitive additions to old houses. It's part of the ongoing history of the buildings. So the only thing that I picked up during the conversation was this idea of going from gable dormers, which I would consider to be a little bit more visually aggressive, to shed dormers. And then I looked over at the existing south elevation, and the pitch on that dormer roof over there is quite shallow. So you'd easily be able to take these gable dormers and have shed dormers that personally I feel like would be quieter and less conspicuous than the gable dormers if you, and I think I heard more than one person talk about that as an alternative. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Essentially, I tried to replicate the gables on the first floor, and coupled with the fact that I need my 80 inches over the center line of the plumbing fixtures for the potential future bathroom. So I think dormers would work, but it would be it would be less than your mandated 4-inch pitch.
Oh,
I'm
well,
afraid it
that's
would
the
be-
reason why I was pointing to the south
Yeah,
elevation.
this is
I'm
like
gonna
a-
guess that roof
like a
pitch on
2.
that dormer there, the existing one is probably a 2 and 12.
Yeah, it's 2.5 to be exact.
Two and a half.
And those are existing and they're starting to leak, but
Well, I bet they don't have the benefit of ice and water shield.
exactly. So, I mean, I will gladly change it as long as you would approve, a 2.5-inch pitch.
Well, yeah, that understood. So, okay, I'm just saying that sounded like a good suggestion to me. That's all.
Mr. Chair, may I
Yes.
ask a question? Which, thank you. I agree with the shed dormers, but I just wanted to clarify that the proposed work right now, it doesn't include changing of the foundation, that's strictly what's shown in red.
Yeah, so you had mentioned foundation change, and that is not part of this application, but I'm sure you're aware of that, Twig.
Yes, that's still undergoing. What we propose to do is put a crawl space, but face it with the rubble that's there. It's very similar to what I've done on a couple of other projects. It is pretty much at ground level, and there are right of ways on both the north and south ends, gable ends.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You got your work cut out.
yeah,
for
we're working on that, and I want to come up with something definitive for you guys, but
Yeah.
it will not change, guaranteed, it will not change in elevation. And what we'd like to do is face it with the rubble that's there.
Okay, well, again, Holly is just pointing out the fact that although you mentioned it, it is not included in what I believe we are about to approve.
Yes,
Okay.
I will
We all
resubmit
understand
that.
that. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Twig. How about a motion on this one, folks? Want to try it?
What's the motion? What happened to the shed dormer idea?
We liked it, and
Oh.
as long as the roof pitch is low.
Yeah, and it
Okay.
can be.
Like
Old
a
houses
2.5
did
and
have
12.
that.
Yeah,
All
they
right, I'll make a
certainly-
motion to approve changing the gable dormers on is it the east side?
West.
West
West
side
elevation.
to shed dormers.
Shed
To a
dormer.
shed dormer,
wanna see it?
singular.
Through staff, I don't think we need to see it, honestly.
We don't
Well,
need
I
to see it.
No,
Okay.
I trust him.
Um, Okay, that is Abby's motion. All those in favor of Abby's motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? There you go, Twig.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Very thorough. Okay, 10 New Mill. Anybody? Anybody for 10 New Mill?
Sounds familiar.
Well, New Mill is
Yes, this,
that hot seat.
Oh, is it the,
Yeah. It doesn't sound like there's anybody there for 10 New Mill, right? How about Chip? Oh, I know Chip's here. So let's have a motion to hold 2 New Mill, 2.
That's
Let's
my
hold
motion.
10 New Mill for representation. Abby has made that motion. All those in favor of Abby's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we've just held 10 New Mill, and that leaves you, Chip Webster, for 33 Cliff.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Chip Webster here, representing the next 3 projects that are all at on Cliff Road. There's proposed fenestration revisions and additions to each of the existing 3 structures. So all 3 structures currently exist, and we can kind of look through these and see your thoughts and comments. We're looking at the main house first. So if we scroll down to elevations, I can walk you through the proposed changes. Obviously, those are photos that just went by. And if you would go down one more so we can start with the street side. There we go. All right, so the upper drawing, the south elevation is what faces the street. That would be visible as you look over the existing driveway. Proposed changes here are pretty simple. Adding a portico entry at the front door, and with a ramp that comes up to it, but the ramp is obviously very low and at grade. And then putting some skirt on the existing Widow's Walk. So those are the proposed changes on that south elevation. On the west elevation that's just below that, you can see the ramp to the side view of the ramp on the right-hand side of the drawing. A minor proposed fenestration change. There's some existing double windows that we want to move a little bit. And then you can see the sides of a proposed dormer, which we'll see in another elevation. And then off in the distance, the proposed skirt for the Widow's Walk. So now we come around to the north side of the house, and you can see the 3 proposed shed dormers on the attic level, and then a change in fenestration with some paneling added the first floor. And then at the bottom elevation, you can see the sides of some of those previous things I was talking about. So you can see that the majority of the fenestration of the house is being untouched. Minor massing changes really just at the proposed dormers. So I turn it over to the board for comments. Thank you.
Okay, do we have HSAB on this?
Do you have any pictures, Chip?
Yeah, they were at the beginning.
They're not in our.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to make it a point that any existing structure on an island in the historic district should have the date of the structure. And I believe all of these 3 of these applications do not include the date. However, the main home based on an HDC survey is actually 1982. Although I will mention that the property card, which I don't really like to go by, indicates 1900, and the NHL data indicates 1940. So we have 3 different eras of time frames included. I do know that this has been in the Horchow family for many, many years, and I believe it still is. With that said, for some reason, HSAB only reviewed 2 of the applications and not this one before you. I just would want to, 1, clarify the actual vintage of the structure, and 2, if the commission is so inclined, possibly having it refer back to HSAB if it is a of a vintage that is contributing. If not, and it actually is from 1982, then obviously it's not contributing. Those are my comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Olive. Who would like to start?
I can't, because I can't see the picture.
Can't see.
No, I can now that they're up there. I was looking online and there's nothing for this application on there. I think I have to digest it.
Okay. Anybody else ready?
Mr. Chair, if I might add, I apologize for not having that date, and I'll do some more research, but according to the family, and it is staying in the same family, it was built in the 1980s. So that was what I was told by them, for what it's worth.
That's what I kind of remember. I think maybe Ronnie De Silva built this house.
Looks like it when you're inside.
When he was 5.
Anybody?
I'll go.
Okay, thanks,
I
Karen.
kind of feel like the front portico is a little overblown. I'm thinking Venturi for some reason, and I'm not sure.
You're thinking of the Venturi house in Monomoy that has those round Tuscan columns that are like 3 feet in diameter.
Yeah, I just think that.
Terry?
I'm so sorry, Terry. I'm sorry. I must be driving you nuts. I was just saying, I think the portico is a little overscaled, and something simpler might be better. I don't think I have much issue with the rear because I don't think much of it's going to be seen, except for the third floor dormers. They seem extensive, and there's already so much fenestration on this house that I think less, and the way that the roof walk is crashing on top of, or something with that left set, that maybe just a single, maybe just one dormer up there would be okay. It really reads as a four-story building back there, and that's a little concerning. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Kerry. Who's next? Abby, you ready?
Yeah, I don't, so I see what you're saying. I guess we're concerned with the front of the house. I don't mind what's proposed, but I think it's a little over the top. But there are some sort of Belle Epoque, I don't know what they're called, architecture up there that are quite grand. So I don't think it's completely out of place, but could probably get toned down. I'm more concerned about the back of the house, dormered out to max. I mean, wow, it's just, I don't even know about those dormers. They're triple sheds, quadruple windowed. I just think it's too much. And if any elevation is going to be seen, it would be this, and it would be the top. So I don't mind the first floor change, but I think the dormers are too much. I like the way you've made that into sort of a fancy sun porch on the first floor. So all elevations, I'm fine with that. My main concern are those 3 dormers. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Diane.
I'm rather taken back by the amount of mulled windows. The house has a fair amount anyway. You are going to see the 3rd floor on the north elevation, and that's way too heavy. Is there at this moment an existing roof walk on that house?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
doesn't
but
have a
it's-
skirt on it right now.
It's not as fancy.
No, I think it should remain as simple as it can be. The house is big and it makes an imposing statement, but it isn't falling down grand. And I just think the you will see when you're driving up Cliff Road, you will see in the driveway, you get a view of it. And I think it's too much with all those double windows that are, or quadruple windows that are long. The ones on the first floor you won't see. And you won't see the ramp. And the new dormer, I guess, will fit in, but if they're the dormer for those 4 window thingies, they should be not there. That's it. That's
Okay,
what I got to say.
thank you. Val?
I agree with a lot of what's been said. I believe my main concern is the 3rd floor on the north. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see that from down below. Perhaps reducing the dormers or even just reducing the amount of fenestration would help simplify them. It seems that they are all so large, and the middle one is a bathroom, so I think you could reduce that a little bit. Yeah, it's really just that.
Okay. Val, thank you. I agree with all the dormer stuff that has been said on the south. And then in terms of the entry, I think that it's too wide and too, like the round Tuscan columns, particularly if that size, are really super overscaled for that otherwise pretty simple entry. So I'd like to see that pared back and scaled down. Those are my comments. Should we have move for some revisions on
I
this?
make a motion for revisions.
Okay, that's, oh, go ahead. Oh, yes, to Holly's point. Some verification of the age?
Yes.
Okay. And if it turns out to be an older building, can you include as part of your motion to have HSAB review it?
Yes, it should go back
Great.
to
Okay.
ASAP.
Because, yeah, okay, so that is Diane's motion. All those in favor of Diane's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, next up, guest house. So these are the ones that flank this building up on Cliff Road.
Oh,
Well, the guest house is one of the garages, yeah.
Yeah, Chip Webster again, thank you. This is the second structure. This is the guest house. As you can see on the site plan, as Ray pointed out, there are 2 buildings that are along Cliff Road, and then the drive entry into the property is between those. So the primary proposal here is an addition to that guest house. You can see where it sits on the site plan. It would be to the side of that. If we scroll up, we can see the associated elevations as well. Let's go one more, please, and so we'll start with the street side. So this is on the right-hand side of the page, the south existing is in the upper right. Minor proposed changes to the existing, actually removing windows and simplifying it on the existing mass. And then you can see the proposed addition to the right, picking up on the same sort of roof pitches and gable forms and so forth. On the left-hand side of the page, you can see the west elevation, minor proposed change going from 3 windows to 2. So again, reducing fenestration on the existing mass. So if we go scroll up one drawing, we'll see the other elevations. On the left-hand side, what we're looking at is the end of the proposed addition. On the right-hand side, this is what's facing into the property, so this would not be visible from anywhere on that lower right section on the north elevation. So, and then there are no proposed changes to the remainder of the existing structure on that side. Thank you.
Okay. Did you say that HSAB did review this one?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
they did. So for the record, there is an HDC survey for both of these structures, but no date associated with them. They do say that they're non-contributing, so based in the 80s, they were probably, they probably are contributing now, but were not at the time of the 89 survey. HSAB took a look at this on June 27th. They said this building is very close to Cliff Road. There are a handful of accessory buildings that are similarly close to the road as this one is, but none have the length, the height, or the fenestration that is proposed for this addition. Any proposed additions to this building should be directed away from Cliff Road towards the main house. The scale of the addition and the dormers are inappropriate additions to this accessory building. From staff's perspective, I agree this is a proposed wall along Cliff Road with no additive massing, and it's too tall. It should be reduced in scale. So those are the comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, folks. Abby's.
Well, I'm sort of chipped.
Yes.
What is going on? I mean, you've doubled the size of this house. It's just a guest cottage, or I don't know what you're calling it, but it's going right alongside Cliff Road. If you're going to do something like that, at least take it to the back where, the people owning it have to look at it. I don't mind, sort of cheering up a bit, but the simplicity of it now, I understand. The windows are a little sparse, but the size is it's a bit over the top. So I'll just stop there.
Okay, thanks, Abby.
I'll go.
All right, Carrie.
I agree with Abby. I also think if you look at the house, you see a couple of gables forward. And I think maybe if you turn your addition and create a gable forward, it would shorten the building by quite a lot on the street side. And then it would also sort of speak the language of the main house. If your gables sort of match scale, pitch, etc.
Carrie, thank you.
Right.
All right, Diane, you ready?
Yep, that it's too big. Originally, there was a garage there, way back when, 1988. And this, actually, I think it detracts from the main house, which stepped in, and it is competitive, and it's got to go, that whole wing should go back north rather than putting a 60-foot long wall along Cliff Road. It's crazy, because in that part of Cliff Road, they don't have things like that. So that's what I think.
Okay. All right, Diane, thank you. Val?
I don't really have anything to add. I like Carrie's idea, perhaps, and Diane's of an L shape. And obviously to scale down what's on the second floor to be a little more modest. The dormers that are there are really skinny on the existing house, but somewhere in between lower and narrower would suit, I think, the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Chip, I have very similar thoughts. I've always actually kind of liked the way that you approach this house with these smaller, very subordinate, at the street outbuildings. And now this guest house, which is sort of a twin of the garage currently, you've more than doubled the size of it, and you've increased the height. And I just think that's going to detract from that whole sort of gateway effect that those two buildings have currently. So I'd like to see any addition that goes on to this guest house be subordinate to the current piece, and ideally situated further away from the road, as the other board members have indicated. So those are my comments. Somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to hold for revisions.
Okay, so Diane has made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor of Diane's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go. How about the garage?
The application also doesn't give any height,
Right.
and the drawings don't give any height.
Did you hear that, Chip?
I did, yes. I'm taking copious notes.
Okay,
So
good.
we'll make sure and get that in the next draft.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay.
I'm already on
garage.
page 5 of notes. It's very exciting.
What did-
On it, but the paper is 5 inches by 4.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. You wanna look
Wait,
at the
you're
next
gonna
one?
hear your garage, right?
Yeah, garage is next. I think the garage, we might, I don't know. We'll find out what happens.
We will find out.
Yeah.
If you're able to pull it up on the screen, I can walk you through the proposals. Thank you.
This is what is now.
Chip, I'm dying of curiosity here.
Okay.
Are those, I see, they're not gonna be garage doors. They're actually supposed to look like French or garage doors, but they're not really. They're more like French doors on the east elevation. 'Cause
On
you'd never be
the-
able to pull a car in there.
No, okay, so Chip Webster again for application number 3 at 33 Cliff Road. These are proposed revisions to the garage. So why don't we start, please, with the south elevation, which is all the way to the right. That's what's facing the street. So you can see the proposal there is to reconfigure some of the dormers on the second floor. There are no massing proposed additions or changes or height changes to the structure, I want to point out. So that's the south elevation. On the west elevation, which is sort of the back, for lack of a better word, that's not the back, it's the side, but it's away from the entry. You can see the proposal to add a window. And if we scroll to, keep going to the left, the north elevation, which faces into the property and is not visible. The proposal there is to add a shed dormer and some fenestration changes on the first floor. And then what you were referring to, Ray, if we go one more notch, is adding the garage door on the side to the east. So that faces the
Guest house.
the driveway. Yeah, correct, faces the guest house and the driveway. And if we pull out a little bit, you can see the existing elevation there is completely blank. So I think that's a huge improvement, personally, to that otherwise blank wall that is now flanking the drive. I turn it over to the board for comments. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let's turn it over to HSAP for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this does, again, have a HDC survey on file. However, there is no date associated with it. HSAP took a look at this on June 27th. They said the proposed flush dormer will be marginally visible from Cliff Road. However, it would be much more architecturally appropriate if it were a setback dormer rather than flush. The proposed new central dormer on the roadside is proportionally out of scale and should be a single window dormer matching the existing dormers. Staff's perspective agree that the fenestration obviously should match the main home, and I agree with HSAB's comments on the dormers. Those are comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Okay, folks.
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah.
I just think it's the responsibility to show something nice to Cliff Road. So I think the setback dormers, that's a great idea. I mean, the flush dormers, it's just like showing your backside.
Well,
But
just
that's facing the house.
FYI, south is what faces Cliff Road. North faces back to the house.
Okay, so, well, ditto on south, which I'm changing it over to So that's gonna be, so I think the setback dormers, simpler, not gabled. And I would do the same on the north, and I would do the same on the proposed guest cottage. I mean, I would keep it consistent. So
Okay,
that's my
thank you, Abby.
initial.
Who's
I'll
next?
go.
Thank you.
I think the shed dormer on the ends, the slope looks very shallow, and I think it's making it look awkward. And that will be seen. I think a steeper pitch dormer would work better. And setback as well, I think. And then on the south, which is facing Cliff Road, I agree with HSAB. I think the two on the ends should come in a little bit and reduce the one in the middle. I don't mind two different sizes there, but maybe not quite as large in the middle, because it's quite a leap between the proportions of the two sizes. And the windows just seem tiny, but I guess they are what exists, so.
I would like to see
That's it.
this.
Okay, Carrie,
Or
thank you.
reduced if that's
Diane,
it.
Val?
I'll go, I'm here.
Okay, Diane?
I think, what do I think? I think that the south is too heavy. I would, if you look at what is existing on the front that faces you, the trim is not so heavy. The trim on these seem to be very heavy, and I have no height of the building. I don't know how tall it is. And I think we should know how tall it is and how wide it is. I think on that shed
It's a 3.
dormer,
It's too shallow.
the north you won't see from the street, right?
So HSAB, I think, was correct in saying that you are going to see the side of the flush dormer
Okay, well, I
through
think.
the other building.
Right,
or diagonal.
I think that is not good. I'm glad he's keeping the west, because I think it's very simple. I would like to see the south to stay as simple as it is existing. I think it is good. I don't mind the size of increasing that window on the west, because I think it fits in better than the narrow one. Again, what you can see on the north elevation, I would make it smaller, reduce the mulled windows. They just, in this building, they just make it heavy and bring the shed in. A garage should be a simple building, and this has gotten very complicated, so that's what I would like to see done with it.
Okay, Diane, thank you. Val, did you go? No.
I really have nothing to add. From what everyone else has said. We're not gonna see the north. It faces the house. So it's unusualness what will affect us is the silhouette of the east and west with the dormer that's flush and only a 3 pitch. I think that the drawings need a little bit more information, height, pitches, and that sort of thing. And also to finish filling in the applications, they're blank. Simple is best. And yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, Val, thanks. So agree with most of what's been said. I think that the dormers on the south, which really are the most important consequential part of this application, should harmonize with the dormers that I think you intend to keep on the guest house. I believe there's 2 that are slightly larger over there. I'm not loving the sort of hierarchy of dormers here, particularly since they're gables. Less to say on the north, although I do like the idea of setting back the dormer, and I think you can do that. And emphasis on, whoever makes the motion, emphasis on the idea of dimensions on all the drawings for this application.
And the
height
application.
And width and the application being filled out. So does somebody want to make a motion for me?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so the motion, Val's motion is to hold for revisions and to make sure that we get dimensions on the house and the guest house and the garage, and completely filled out applications for our next hearing of this application. That's her motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nobody. Okay, so thanks, Chip. And
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thanks, you too. We don't need to say anything on 23 Ocean because that says hold. Botticelli and Pole, they're holding theirs for, I guess, next Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
That's.
Do we have to make that motion?
That
then?
one you actually do have to.
Okay, I'll make that
And
motion to
I'm
hold.
recused, of course.
Hold for next Tuesday. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Okay, now we got Matthew. Come on up, bud. 33 Main Street, Sconset.
Was
I
that the
thought we
gate
were holding
opening? Oh. No, we're not, we're here.
Oh. Well, 2 and 3 are two different. This is 23 and this is 32.
Thank you.
You can't be dyslexic.
I gotta go.
You have to go too?
I gotta go in a minute to get something that I left at home.
You mean hamburgers for?
No, 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 no. It looks like people are gonna be holding all these applications and I just left something at home.
Well, make sure you bring something back
Okay.
to eat.
We all have our drawings. Matthew, go.
Thank you,
Look
Mr.
at
Chair.
that.
So this is 33 Main Street in Sconset.
We'll have to
It's
get
an
a froggy
existing-
bottom.
I don't know, go ahead.
It's an existing structure that's on the property. It's a garage apartment. It's set behind the main house on 33. So the only thing we're doing is proposing some minor fenestration changes. I think the drawings are fairly straightforward. If you look at actually, there you go. That elevation really represents the only fenestration changes.
Whoa.
So my tablet's not cooperating with me, so I'll have to use these drawings, but there you go, west elevation. So
That's it?
that's it.
Is that facing
Okay,
the street or
everybody
into
listen
the
up.
property?
It's west elevation. If you go to sheet A 2.1, you see a gable in the upper right-hand corner. That's the existing. It has a window and a door. Matthew is keeping the window on the second floor, moving the door and adding 3 windows. That's it, Matt?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it, Mr. Chair.
All right. So, Sconset advisory on this.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So for context purposes, this is obviously within the Old Historic District. The main dwelling is Hilltop, circa 1848, attributed to Charles G. Coffin. The garage that has obviously been altered, that's before you, is actually originally dated back to 1923, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this was the one that was altered, okay. Sconset Advisory took a look at this on July 11th, and they said suggest increasing the mullion space between the window units.
Okay.
But this west elevation may not be visible. I would concur with that. I do also just want to point out that the proposal includes STL versus TDL within the Old Historic District.
Okay.
Those are comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. All right. Board members, if you're ready.
I agree with SAB. Yeah, or,
So you,
and Holly.
you agree that we should mull the windows?
I think so.
Although they kind of appear to be already. Oh, no, I think I got that right. All right, so that was your.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew,
Yes.
am I mistaken? I mean, these look like they have wider mulls on them.
You're talking about the actual, not the muntin, the mullion,
The mullion
yeah.
between the windows, it's not the thin one, it's the wide, the same width as
Yeah.
a side
Yeah, we
case.
could tighten it up if you want.
No. They want to have it mulled, I think, right?
Is it increase the mullion space?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
make it like a
wider.
stud
wider.
pocket?
Yeah, well, like a,
Yeah,
just
it
thicker.
has a stud pocket now, but I think they wanted it to go wider again.
Is that
Or
what they
make
say?
two, or make two windows.
All right.
Either one.
I mean, we'd prefer the 3. If you want us to widen the mullion, we can certainly do that. I think it's traditional stud
I will
pocket.
mention this. If you go wider with the mullion, it's going to make it wider than the side casing, which
Yeah.
is not kind of what you normally see.
I wouldn't,
Usually, if you have a wide stud pocket mullion, it's the same width as the side casing, which is 1x4. Anyway.
You're gonna screw up the centered window with
That's
the,
kind of
lo-
what I'm saying.
I think. it's-
I mean, I
think
agree, it's not
You'll have
something we
no
normally
end
do,
wall.
but
I think it's not very visible, if at all, so
Well, that's the other.
I'm
Okay.
okay with it.
All right. Sorry, Abby. Yeah,
Well, no, I think they also look, I mean, compared to I guess they're kind of square, right? The window panes.
They're
a
6/2.
I mean, they're definitely,
It looks like it matches the one up above it,
Yeah.
the existing.
Yeah.
one.
Okay,
All right.
I'm done.
Diane?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a major problem with this. I think it's going to be hard to see because it's all the way to the back and it's a fairly simple design. And you've got the south elevation which exists, which is going up there again. So I would like to see what other people say, but at the moment I don't have anything to say awful.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Does it face
Thank
the
you.
street?
No.
no, it does not face the street, it faces
Faces the
interior
side,
court.
faces like the gate.
In the yard.
And
If you look at the site plan, you'll see
Val,
how
you're-
far back it is.
I'm fine with this.
Me too. I think it's not gonna be visible and it's already got mulled windows, or at least
Motion to
wider.
approve.
Okay. There's a motion to approve from our friend Abby Camp. All those in favor of her motion, say aye.
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 Great. Any opposed? No. 12 Dave Street, the box. The box.
What are they going to do?
Looks like some housing.
Housing.
Star, back in the
That's good.
side of a cow.
I've already decided.
This stuff fills you up. You should have some of this.
I had like half
I'm
of
like
that whole
getting up
bundle.
here.
The sugar makes me hungry.
Is this, just building
Oh,
one or
it
two?
just fills me up. It's like eating wax.
Building one?
Relax.
It's like eating wax.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It just fills you up. These people aren't gonna get much sleep.
No. It's mostly staff, so they're not sleeping. on
Good, they
this.
don't need sleep.
Yeah.
I can
Where the hell are
start
they
whenever
gonna put-
you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Was it the
Go ahead,
building
Matt.
that the guy uses to make.
Okay,
maps?
so this
The
is an
bank building.
application
Where-
for, there's another application after this. We're referring to the buildings as Building 1 and Building 2. The Building 1, which is clouded on the set that's before you right now. These are basically two duplexes. So right now you're reviewing Building 1. Just for context, I think everyone's familiar with the Chicken Box. There's Bayberry Court directly across the street on Dave Street, which are 2.5-story buildings, third floor dormers, fairly tall structures. So basically, the chicken box, like every other business, is housing issues, and they need to provide employee housing, and so that's what this plan is intended to achieve. So these are modular structures. The intent is to keep them fairly simple. In terms of like context, building 1 is on Dave Street, and it is a slightly sloped site, and so in terms of how we've consider the buildings in terms of their massing, is building 1 is actually taller. It's got third floor dormers. We have a fairly extensive program that we're trying to fit into these duplexes. Building 2 is further down the hill, and so that is a 1.5-story structure. We did provide a couple of axonometric drawings just to show the relationship between the two, so you can kind of get a sense of scale, if you will. So basically, building 2 steps down 1.5 stories. Building 1 that's on the street across from Bayberry Court is essentially the same height as the buildings across the street. We are just above 30 feet.
31.
Yeah, sure.
Let me make sure I got this right. There's a sloped lawn to the side of the box.
Yep.
You're putting the taller
I know.
structure on the high part and the lower structure on the low part.
Yeah.
And what was the rationale for that?
Rationale is the context across the street. Bayberry Court, those buildings are
I know
incredibly
they're
tall.
big.
And so in terms of
But is there a problem in like reversing?
I actually think that from the parking lot of Island Kitchen, that whole area, my concern was that that building would just be like towering, if you
Okay.
will.
But the
And
box
so-
is also your context.
This is true.
So
This is
that-
true. I mean, we do have a housing, we're trying to kind of put a lot in here, and so we're kind of referencing the context. And so that was the rationale, Mr. Chair. We felt that it would kind of follow the context of the slope, if you will.
It's a pretty dramatic slope, like 5-6 feet.
It's, we did get the topo done because we thought that was really critical, and it's around 5 feet, but in my head, I actually felt like it was gonna be more like 6 or 7. We're gonna get like a full exposure of a walkout. It doesn't quite work out exactly that way. You're correct, it is about 5 feet property line to property line. But it doesn't reveal itself too dramatically in the elevations. We do have the topography three-dimensionally modeled, and so our elevations are fairly accurate. So
Okay.
with that, we're looking forward to comments from the board. Obviously, program-wise, we're putting a lot in there, and we're trying to create spaces for the occupants to have outside the building. So there is a deck on the back of this structure for both units in this building. There are, there are third floor dormers, but those are similar scale and size to the ones across the street. To some degree, we did try to model these dormers on those. We want to try to get some usable square footage out of that third floor. It's not a huge amount of program, but there is a bedroom up there and some common space, which is welcomed, obviously, by the occupants. Again, it is modular, so we did have to work within those confines. But having said that, we tried to add some level of detail without increasing the construction costs, if you will. There is a farmer's porch across the front of the building. It sits on Dave Street. A couple of side porches as well, and then this deck on the back for outdoor use. So with that, look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
if you're so inclined, would you allow staff comments on this application, these applications? Okay. So I understand that these are not obviously within the old historic district, but it's in the historic district nonetheless. And I think it's important to address the proposal also eventually, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, is to also include a demolition of the existing structure that's next door, as well as a partial demolition of the chicken box. And I think that's important for this conversation. For this particular structure would be located where the NHL data actually indicates that that existing structure is from 1930. Same vintage scale as 3 and 5 Dave Street, which is further down the street towards Orange Street. But although across the street, same scale, type of architecture. The chicken box is dated from 1950. And understanding that this is going to be overall a demo and build a 2.5-story for housing. From a context perspective, I think it's important to look at this side of Dave Street in itself, understanding that you do have the development across the street that's been there. However, a streetscape from the existing would be important to look at. There are some contemporary elements that are being proposed, which is different from what's in this direct area. Over 2 windows, very modern. Doesn't seem to fit within the mid-island. The porch details, nice feature somewhere else, but not necessarily within the context of mid-island from staff's perspective. So I do think a streetscape would be needed. It is noted that this particular structure, and I agree, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw it, would be to reverse the 2 structures, because the other structure has more of a mid-island, more fitting within the area, with the center door, the flanking chimney, shed dormer, more appropriate. This particular structure is 31 feet, 3.5 inches to the ridge. So understanding it's for housing, understanding it's modular, but at the same time, I think the scale needs to be brought down. So those are my comments for your consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Holly.
I'll go.
All right.
I actually had an exchange with Rocky yesterday about this. He asked me to look at it and give my opinion. And the comments have been mentioned. The scale, Stop and Shop was held to 30. I believe the commons are all 30. Why we have to have an extra foot in height, I don't know. What I couldn't figure out is what the floor to ceiling heights are. I know that modular adds that extra, but it seemed like the first floor might have been a little bit higher than normal. But other than that, my comments were on the front facade. It was Ray's comment initially, switching the 2 to have the more modest structure on the road and then this in the back. If this is staying on the front to the front facade, the windows are not aligned at all. And I thought that would help if they were, and to change the dormers to shed. It will make that facade on the street just feel not as large. So those were my comments.
Think about it, like if all those 3rd floor dormers over in Bayberry Court went to sheds, what a difference that would make.
Yeah.
But those are big commercial buildings. This is housing next to a 1-story structure.
No, I'm not advocating.
Yeah.
I know they're there, but I'm not sure that we should be using those as the metric. So thank you, Val.
Yep.
Who's next?
I'll go.
Thank you, Diane.
I'd like to see how these buildings fit in with the chicken box, because chicken box has been there. It's may not be a historic building, but it's a building of note.
50s.
And the old man, he would be thick, but I think it's important to keep the chicken box up forward. I don't think these buildings with this height and the rest of it are what is around it. I don't know which one of these drawings on the site plan is the chicken box.
Oh, I think this.
That is, where are the people going to sit on the outdoor patio?
No, they have a deck.
Other side.
No, but that's a deck. I'm talking about the customers.
Oh, over here.
It's not going anywhere.
That's going to be, that's fenced in porch. I don't know. Somehow they've got to be smaller to let the chicken box remain as it is and not in competition with it. If we're going to regard it as a notable building. Not that they're not good buildings, Matt, because they are, but I just think in this particular location with sort of the thing going down to the island kitchen, Chin's Way, that they're a little too heavy. And that's all, I just think they are.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Abby?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said, that the chicken box is what, 17 feet tall or something?
It's not tall.
Is what?
It's not tall.
I think it's going to be sort of,
Right.
So I mean, if possible, I would do something to it, at least step it
Mhm.
slowly up and then, so maybe this is what you've got to work with, the lot here.
Those two footprints, yeah. And we've been to planning board, but I mean, listen, obviously, we have a big program and we're trying to put it all in there, but this is why the process is what it is. So
Yeah.
I think everybody's comments so far has been very constructive and helpful.
Yeah, I mean, like Diane says, it's a nice design, it just maybe doesn't fit in.
Yeah. Let's see. Everyone's gone, right, except me?
I haven't, but that's
Oh,
okay.
no, you
I don't have
don't.
anything to add,
Okay.
so.
I think it can work with some moving around.
Yeah, I'm just thinking a few things. One, the dormers, I think, for me, are the part of this building that I find the most kind of overwhelming.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And frankly, if we're talking about across the street there,
Bayberry.
hmm,
Bayberry?
Mayberry. Like the most objectionable part about those buildings are the gable dormers on the third floor. They just like totally amp up those buildings. So I think if you can do something with the dormers, organization of the
Windows.
kind of charming but large facade that faces Dave Street, the north, organization of the windows on that facade. And then also, the idea of maybe flipping, because honestly, if we're losing 5 feet, how tall is the other building that we're about to review?
It's a
It's
story
under
and a
30.
half.
It's under 30. I think it's like 26, 27 feet.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so for
switch
me,
them.
okay, I get the whole thing about Chin's Way, but it's still sitting lower, and I think the net benefit of having the taller building in the lower spot would be advantageous, but that's just something to think about.
Oh, yeah, there's the building that's there.
So, oh, yeah, we can't lose that building. That's where the band used to park.
Because a band
Those
building,
walls-
and then we have the building that the guy makes
No, that's what we're
baskets
talking
out of,
about.
right
Yeah,
next to it.
But I mean,
yeah.
even putting this one in the back.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. Well,
What?
I think
Okay.
I heard everything loud and clear.
Okay, so, can I have a motion?
Motion to hold for revisions.
There we go. All in favor of Diane's motion, all for revisions? Say aye. Aye, okay. Anybody opposed? No. Okay. So now, do you have a demo
I
application?
Thought that honestly, we had submitted the demo /demo, like actually a cycle before this earlier, so I'll have to double check that. Yeah. We talked about it internally, so I think that was the game plan, but I'll have to confirm that.
Okay. All right.
There's a lot of stories in that band house, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Perfect. This is the back one?
Yeah, so with your
Sweet
permission,
little cake.
Mr. Chair, I can
Yeah.
just kind of walk you through this one.
New.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know, there was some hesitation about having the taller structure on the lower side, but I do hear what you're saying there. But, so clearly this structure is a story and a half, there's a lower eave line. We definitely made an explicit effort to drop the scale of this structure so that basically the buildings kind of followed the slope, if you will, and then met the scale across the street, but definitely heard your feedback regarding that. There's also more program in building one than this building, but again, I think this one's fairly straightforward. And anyways, look forward to the comments from the board. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to echo what I previously said, sorry. I do feel that this building is a lot more appropriate for the area compared to the other structures that are around. I would recommend 6/6 windows versus the 2/2s. There are, as far as I know, no other 2/2s in this area. I think they're all over 6/6. And I would also be inclined to know about what is being proposed for demolition on the chicken box, which I know Matt will follow up with.
Are you proposing demo of the box itself?
There is one small section that
On the
is-
rear.
is being demolished. It's actually a connector piece, and it is shown on the site plan, but again, I'll confirm those demolition
Okay.
approvals are in place.
All right. Thanks, Holly. What do you think, guys?
I think this is fine. It's a scale that works there, and I would approve this, but I would hold it to see if they're gonna move stuff around on the site, but there's nothing I would say to change.
Okay, Val, thanks. Who's next?
I have a question. Is that a downstairs basement on the front of the street?
Yes, I mean, it is set back from the road quite a bit, and I think the only thing that you would see is essentially a railing around it, but it is a larger walkout basement. Again, in this instance, we put program in both buildings, by the way, we did actually have to put basically dwellings, bedrooms, et cetera, in the basement. So it was fairly complicated to make it all work in terms of means of egress, et cetera, et cetera. But we felt that section was the most appropriate place, so it wouldn't be visible from where we anticipated people being able to see it.
Okay.
Right.
So Colin had said something about 3/3s, I mean, 6/6 instead.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a
I
problem.
think, yeah. I think it's a little more friendly somehow.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe if this is going to be well, let's wait and see where you put these, but I think a front porch would be nice here.
You could do that.
So,
Okay. Thank you, Abby. Terry, you ready?
Yeah, I think it's a cute building, and I would love to see it on up front. And I agree with the 6/6, but this one's great. This one's great. But I would like to see it on the front of this, on the street side.
Right. Mr. Chair, if I could, just to that point, the two structures are not necessarily interchangeable.
I know. So this one's wide, and the so-called front door would not work with the way you
You
have the
could do
parking.
it sideways and make the west the
Have a
front.
gable end, have the gable end face Dave Street.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that it's not gonna be just as simple as just moving one up and the other one back.
There's like a 10-foot separation between the two with these radiuses, so I'll certainly look at that. I just wanted to let you know, if I come back and they're not flipped, that's why.
Right, that's a big one.
Can you connect
Let's see,
them
that
and
was
make one
carried.
massive?
Diane, did you go yet?
No, I just,
So you don't need a 10-foot separation?
we were just discussing changing it around its location a little bit, which would give you the taller bit older down the lake bottom.
Thank you.
And I think on that littler building, I think Abby suggested too, and I think it's a good idea, of the 6/6 windows, which would make it more family-like than the
Yes.
2/2s.
I agree. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything's been said that I need to say. Can we have a motion on this one?
Motion to hold for revisions.
Okay, here it is. Diane's made a motion to hold for revisions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
Let's see, you got more, right, Matt?
Yep.
You got Rugged Road, move off.
Move on.
they're not that good. They don't have any salt on them. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
to where? See it now now.
Oh, move on.
So with your permission, I could give you a brief summary, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
So this is a structure that has already been approved to be moved off of a project that we had done on Eel Point Road. So this structure currently resides at 22 Eel Point Road. It had been approved to be moved off and moved on to a property for housing Nantucket. And then in the end, that deal fell apart. I don't know exactly what happened. And then so somebody else is elected to take the structure and move it to this address. And so we've got the site plan that shows where it goes. So there's a move on, yeah.
It's labeled wrong.
No,
that's all.
sorry about that.
Okay, so the other buildings exist. You have one, you have actually have several here. One in the front, one in the back, and the little shed, couple of sheddy looking buildings. And this is just up towards the road.
Move on, doesn't it? Sorry.
I think it's cool.
I think it's great, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool little building.
Looks like it.
Let's move on, right? On our drawings. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Move
It's
on.
just a typo.
Okay, so does anybody have any concerns about moving this very pretty building onto this site at 24 Rugged Road?
No concern.
Yeah.
Reuse, recycle, yep. How about a motion then?
Motion to approve.
Sounds
It's a
good.
rugged road.
Yeah, okay, so Abby's made a motion to
on the
approve the
race.
move on.
Right next to the
To
race.
be clear for the record of this building. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There it is. 25 Sankaty Head.
Right. Well, brother,
Yeah.
Randy Norris,
Yeah.
he still owns, but Christ's sake, he's out in Texas riding motorcycles.
Oh, really?
Our
you.
police-
Pretty soon our agenda's gonna be one page.
police
I know.
supervisor
Can you
was-
imagine?
Pretty soon.
So exciting. We'll get
Pretty
out
soon I'm gonna be
early.
calling Matt up on the phone. It's like, hey, you got anything to submit to us here? Got anything for us this, come on.
We'll be able to go on vacation.
It's an indicator, right?
What?
Market indicator.
All right,
Fine by me.
Sankaty Head, okay. This is to the one that you did up on the hill, right, Matt?
Yes, you've actually seen
Actually,
this.
no, it's across the street.
Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
but
Oh, this is Glenn's house.
Right, I know this.
Yeah.
You did
So-
the one across the street.
yes, yes, yeah. So you've actually seen this application, this house before, and you probably actually should have shown the previous HTC approval. The way the drawings are formatted, we've got, the west elevation is probably the most visible elevation. And so you have approved the demo portion that's shown just below the top drawing.
Okay.
And so just working with our client, she asked to make a couple of minor revisions, so they're fairly small. The previous approval did have a one-story addition in the same location, but we did add the bay and the projecting gable above it, which is a detail that's found on the left side of the structure. So we're just
Yeah.
essentially emulating that same detail on the right side. The
Where's
remaining,
that?
so on the left side of the west elevation,
See how there's a gable,
Yeah.
on the right-hand side, there's an existing gable that projects with a bay underneath
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's doing the same thing way over on the left.
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
And then we did have corner boards in the previous approval, and we just felt that the cottage corners was more appropriate for this structure. Again, the main center mass is an existing portion of the structure. So the remaining changes are basically fenestration changes, so fairly minor stuff.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. Anybody?
What did he say about corn?
That he's not having them.
Oh, okay.
He's
I think the
This
changes
existing
are
building-
appropriate.
Yeah, I thought I was afraid you were adding a corner.
I really appreciate the relocation of the front door. And I know that's not part of this one necessarily.
It was the
probably
weirdest
last
thing.
one, but
Yeah, it's been driving us crazy.
that's great. That was
Yeah.
bizarre.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there we go. Abby's made a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. All right. That was Sankety. We flipped the page. And now we got, oh,
Shed.
same address, shed.
If you don't want to speak, don't speak, though.
I won't.
We're gonna endanger.
Right.
What?
Oh,
Who?
No, that's interesting.
What?
This was Glidden. I wonder, well,
Oh, they're probably here for Quidnet Road. Lisa Eager.
okay.
She doesn't know.
Because I haven't really been paying attention to if there's any neighbor comment on anything so far.
What's we have
There's
to turn your head.
Well, even so, Holly's able to see the screen. Yeah, okay. Because
No,
you
it
guys
is-
were good about telling me when Arthur Reed had raised
yeah,
his
no,
hand.
I know them and they are Quigneters, so they must be up.
Hey, sorry, does anybody have any issues with Matthew's shed here?
Oh.
Has everybody reviewed it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go with Val on that.
Yeah, it's cute.
Val, you're okay with it?
Motion to approve.
Okay. So Val's made a motion to approve the shed there at 25 Sankety Head Road. All those in favor of Val's motion?
Aye.
Aye. There you
Thank you very
go,
much.
Matthew. Okay, do we, yes,
Mr. Chairman, Smart requested to hold till next Tuesday.
okay. Can I have a motion?
Motion to hold.
May I add more?
Oh, yeah,
And Workshop APD requested to hold all their applications till next Tuesday as well.
we're back to Matthew, don't leave, come back. Okay, so can I have a motion to hold items 24 through 29?
So moved.
Until next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Next Tuesday? That's Abby's motion. All in favor of Abby's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
per discussion before, about 37 Fair, this is actually going to be put on, our consent with conditions agenda for next week. Matt's satisfied. This is that, completely reduced scale
Oh,
plans.
so we don't need to review this?
No, sir. And he's aware of that.
And
It's on the agenda because we just received the plans.
do we need to take action on it?
No, we're actually going to move it and put it on consent
Okay,
with
so
conditions.
we're just going to skip that over,
Yes, sir.
Matthew. Okay?
But just for the people who were here interested in 33 Quidnet, it's being held till next
Oh,
week.
good point. Yeah, those of you on Zoom. Okay? 33 Quidnet Workshop APD is held until next Tuesday at their request. Okay?
Is Mary Ann trying to say?
Mary Ann?
Thank you very much.
Wait, Mary Ann,
Hello?
did you want to say something? Are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what you're doing here. I'm in number 25, 8 Parsons. Is that also on hold?
8 Parson.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, because they're not around. Workshop APD is not around this week.
Oh,
So yeah, that was just held until next Tuesday.
wonderful. Okay,
So,
great.
hey,
Thank
you know, guys,
Probably been sitting there all night.
here, just a little announcement. If we know that like everything from workshop is being held, just if there's anybody like that that's been waiting, we should just make an announcement at the beginning and say, if you're
Yes.
here for anything having to do with the workshop APD, it's not going to be held tonight. It's going to be, it's just, yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. So, and emeritus is done. And now we're to old business of June 28th. And you are chairing. Well, first of all, let's see. Do we have somebody here for Nantucket Architecture Group?
Mr. Chair, I don't see anybody in the queue.
How about this? This is like their lightning round. Bill McGuire's here.
I saw him.
William?
Well, also because McLaughlin, Steve is not here, so we just
But
have Coombs,
We have
Oliver,
four
and
people.
Thornwell.
I mean, I don't know how
That's true.
difficult, I
That's
don't know how
true. I forgot
difficult
about
the app
myself.
is. But so why don't, Abby, why don't you hold that for representation?
Oh,
Maybe-
do I
maybe
hear a
they'll show
motion
up.
to hold 37 West?
So moved.
Westchester, sorry.
Right.
All in favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Any opposition to that? Nay.
Okay, Abby, thank you. How about BPC? Anybody here for that? Gads. Really?
Gads.
Who is here, Holly? Can you tell?
Well, Chip.
Chip's just listening for.
We have Val's here.
Well, Val is here. Now, is this what you needed to run home for?
Well, I sent it to Ez on an email. So
What are
she
you
look
here
at the
for?
screen. Let's try this one.
Oh,
I just recused from it because
I see. Oh, I get it. So you're recused from it or you're representing it?
No, I'm recused from it, but I'm moral support.
Okay, let's do a little bit of tidying up here. So 28 Evergreen, let's hold that for representation.
Right, so moved.
Okay, so Diane has made a motion to hold 28A Evergreen for representation. They might show up. All those in favor of Diane's motion, say aye.
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 And now what?
I said.
Okay, so now we are at Maple Lane, and Abby, you are chairing this one, okay? Okay.
Okay, Maple Lane. Oh, I keep seeing this in the paper, right? Is this the one I see in the newspaper? Go ahead.
I don't know.
Can we go to the changes? Well, yeah, I guess. I'm just trying to show you guys, various houses with two gables in the front.
Oh.
Sorry.
Holy cow.
That was pretty much the only way that I could adjust that roof line to make it work.
Is that Stephen Maury?
Justin Maury. Stephen's my
Justin
brother.
Maury.
Don't hold that
Okay.
against
You sound like, on this, you sound like Stephen.
You can just stand right through there.
Is that microphone working? I can barely hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
sorry about that. All right, so these are the changes that I've made on the southeast elevation. We've separated the windows on the second floor. That was a request by Diane. We've also aligned the second floor headers. That was a request by Stephen. The windows over the front door are larger. That was a request by Abby. The gable forward is now subordinate to the gable over the front door. If we could go to the southwest. On the first floor, Diane had suggested we separate the two windows on the first floor. We decided to add one to the right, to kind of fill that wall in. And then on the northwest elevation, it was suggested that we make that slider on the second floor narrower, so we did that. And then we also brought down that gable to be subordinate to the main ridge mass.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll go.
Thank you.
I appreciate the changes that you made. I think it is helping. I do think that your main mass eave lines are still too tall. If you look on the front elevation, which is the southeast, you have a ton of shingle line above that, above the window headers. So it looks like you've got, maybe go to another elevation so I can describe it better. The rear elevation, I think that's the same mass. It's complicated because you got a lot of different pieces going. But yeah, I look at the rear where the French doors and the deck are. The eave on the middle piece above the French doors, you don't need 2 shingle courses above that. That whole piece should drop down a bit because you have like, it looks like you have almost 2 feet between your eave lines and all you need is like a foot. So if you drop that whole roof and gable down a foot, you'd be just above the French doors, and I think that would do it. Because there's a lot of shingle above those second floor windows, and then where the roof hits the wall, it's too tall there. But I think the other changes have made a big difference.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks.
Diane?
I appreciate the changes that made. I think it's good. I like those windows separated. Carrie, what did you think would be good?
To just, on the main mass, the eave line is a lot higher than the subordinate mass, and it doesn't need to be, because I think it's now it's sort of too tall above the existing second floor windows.
Right.
There's like a lot of shingles between the French doors, and this is the only place that I can really describe it well.
Right.
But the top of the French doors, and then shingle lines, and then the eave, if that all came down, you could lose 18 inches out of it.
That would
And
be good.
And the windows and the wall above it in the gable ends would then read better because
Right.
they're,
Well, I think that sounds good. I just wanted to check and see if I
yeah,
got it right. No, I agree with you.
thanks.
Does anybody find the southwest elevation, the way the gables and the roof lines converge in the middle of the building? I find it, I wish we could clean that up a bit, either somehow have that gable come down and die into another one, but there's so much going on right there.
So I think if I take Carrie's suggestion
Yeah.
and drop down that main mass
Yeah.
a foot, I think that would kind of suffice what both of you guys are saying.
Yeah. Is that where you mean?
Yeah, so
That
I'm
you can
saying if I
drop
drop
that.
the wall height on the main mass, the gable that right there, that would make more sense.
You wouldn't have such a long eave at the
Exactly.
the funny connection. It might just, the gable end on the right of the main would come down a bit. You would have a necessary cricket or whatever that is there, but go back to the front elevation, because that's where it sort of seems.
Sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying exactly.
See how on that main, there's just a lot of horizontal shingle above the windows, and then you've got the
Yep.
rake in the corner, yeah.
Can you,
I was just saying that wouldn't affect the interior. I'd be happy to do that. In
Okay.
fact, if I could do that on staff approval, I'd be willing to keep this going.
I don't, that area that you were concerned
Yeah.
about, I don't think is going to be visible, is that correct?
It's not, no.
It seems like it's interior to the property, that really
I mean,
No,
you
on that side of the house, they're requiring us to keep 40 feet of vegetation on Rugged Road. So
Good.
it won't be visible.
Okay. All right, Carrie, you want to make a suggestion since you?
Yeah, do you think we can come down like just 8 inches above the secondary mass eve? That would probably do it. Val, since you know the drawing so well, to drop, oh, you don't? Okay, how do you make a motion? Motion to approve through staff by dropping the main mass eave and gable and at the southeast, which then translate to all the other elevations, drop that down 12 to 18 inches, depending, as long as it's a little bit above the secondary mass eave. Is that,
Could we say 3 shingle courses?
yeah, that would be about 18 inches.
Are you bringing it down? Just to make that?
Just above
Yeah.
that one, yeah,
Wouldn't it like be right at that?
just above it.
Just above it?
Just so it reads as the main mass, but not so darn much shingle above it.
Through staff?
Yeah. Terry, did you get that?
Okay, members, with the main mass eave and gable dropped 3 shingle courses.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I got.
All in
Thank
favor
you.
of Carrie's motion? Did you want to add something to that?
No.
No. All in favor of Carrie's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, Carrie, on your motion?
No, I'm an aye.
Okay. No nays.
Okay.
No nays.
Thank you, Abby.
Thanks very much.
Okay,
you.
do we have anybody, well, actually, is anybody here for 53 Pocomo? Hopefully not, because it would be down to a 3-person board.
thought we were holding
And
that.
Stephen is
Why did I think that?
chairing, and he's not here. Okay, so who's left in the queue?
We have.
Mr. Cassidy's here, Mr. Webster's here, and there's an iPad, and I don't know who that is.
Mr. Webster, Cassidy, what are you all here for?
I'm here because it's so much fun. I don't want to miss it.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Yeah, I don't
We
think
like
I
an
have anything
audience.
actually,
We're the
though.
most watched show on TV. You know
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if we scroll all the
Billy-
way to the end, I might have some stuff, but
Okay, let's see what Billy's here for. Billy Cassidy, what are you here for? You got to unmute, friend. And is there anybody else in the queue?
yeah, I actually do have some stuff at the end if you wanted to look at it. I was
Well, no, I
happy.
mean, we will go to you. I mean, you're
Miss-
here.
Mr. Chairman, his stuff, I don't have any scans for.
Okay. You hear that?
No.
Esmeralda says we don't have any scans for your project. Now, Billy, you're still muted, friend. If you're listening. Like literally, they're the only 2 people.
Yeah, I don't know who iPad is.
How about iPad?
iPad 2.
That sounds really weird. Oh, well, that was.
31 Western Avenue, we don't have that.
I can't believe it.
126.
Diane, this is Maple,
No.
Maple Thorpe.
Ahern just sent an email this evening that, to hold 31 Western if we got to it.
It's almost like it's school break or something.
Yes.
Well, they're gonna
Gosh.
be surprised because there's no meetings on Thursday.
Yeah.
Wait, we're almost,
You can't find
we're
that.
almost caught up.
And it might be an email.
Yeah, but there's a lot from this.
I mean, since we're
tonight
skipping
that
all of
held.
this.
Yeah, but there's a lot from
Hey,
tonight.
go home early.
Yeah, you know what? I got this feeling that's what we're gonna do.
There were only 3 of us on Maple Thorpe.
I gotta tell Diane, are we really gonna get out early? Because I gotta call
Well, listen,
the
you
van.
know, we can't review Chip's stuff because we don't have any digital. Billy's not telling us why he's here,
Do we have the paper of Chip stuff?
and iPad 2 isn't telling us, so that's it.
Oh, Christ, she's out at Millie's.
Last few years. It's been.
Couldn't we look at Chips if we have the paper stuff?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. Hey, if we are, all the board members are present, we're here, so we don't necessarily need to be digital.
The files are all in the office. We didn't anticipate today.
No, I can't imagine you would have.
Yeah.
You know, we're way ahead of things here. Hey, Chip.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think we're gonna pull the plug. I think
No,
we're
that's
gonna go
fine. You
home
guys
early.
deserve an early night off.
Yeah, well, this Were you around for us voting ourselves a holiday on Thursday?
No,
Yeah,
wow.
it's the HTC free day.
And
Right.
also 4 o'clock on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
we're gonna start meeting at 4 o'clock. So tell all of your friends about
Yeah,
that.
we have to
I'll
announce that
never remember
somehow.
that.
Yeah. So what do you think, guys?
Minutes.
Minutes. Let's do
Motion to
minutes.
approve the minuets.
All
June
right.
28th, July 5th, and July 7th.
Okay, that's a heavy load. So Abby has moved to approve the minuets of June 28th, July 5th, and July 7th. All those in favor of Abby's motion?
Up, up.
Yes, Terry.
July 5th really just went out. And there was
Oh,
no
no,
meeting
no.
on July 7th.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. You know what?
And you missed June 30th. So that was kind of wonky. Let's just go with the 28th.
Gotcha.
Only go, yeah, I should have
Just
read
go with
this
the
a little bit
28th.
more clearly. We're only approving the minutes of June 28th. Thanks, Terry, for the
And there was
clarification.
no 7.
What? We only have June 28th down as
Yeah.
the approved.
July
ones.
7th was called for lack of participation.
Oh,
So there are no minutes for
right,
that.
right, yeah, of course. Okay, so, Abby, can you revise your motion to just have the minuets of June 28th?
June 28th, minutes, approval.
Can I make a public comment at this time?
Don't we have to say
Public
aye?
comment. Well, just for the record, June 28th was my birthday.
Oh. Can we
And I want to
approve
make
those-
sure those records reflect that.
Could we approve
I put it in the minutes.
Okay,
Ray,
good.
you were
Just
good enough
In the
making
to
sure.
minutes that day.
Okay, so there is a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th, 1959. All those in favor of Abby's
Aye.
motion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Hey, guys, let's go home
Motion to
early.
approve, motion to, what's it called?
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Thank you, John. Okay, Abby's moved to adjourn.
Aye.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.